I got two phones. One for the timer and one for the jokes.
All right.
Timer.
What up, Pawnees Live? We are good. We are good. Check, check, check.
Wait, do I not have a fucking timer? You said
Oh, this
28
will be the
minutes?
first RubyCloud radio live, RubyCloud podcast live.
Yeah, no radio.
Yeah, no radio. Welcome to the RubyCloud podcast. We are here with Kid Jeffrey. Whoop. And yeah, I don't like making these things feel like an interrogation. I haven't become extremely acquainted with him, and that's kind of what this one is. So this one might feel a bit like an interrogation, so I can get to know him a bit more. We will let him pick it off however he'd like. We're also doing this one live. I don't know if I said that before we launched the
Live
podcast.
on Misfit Mafia Entertainment on TikTok.
Yeah, live. Let me double check this because for whatever reason, my brain feels like that was angled. And it totally was. All right. So yes, look over here. All right. We're going to let this gentleman introduce himself and he can kick us off from there.
What's up? It's your boy Kid Jeffrey, CEO of Misfit Mafia Entertainment LLC. I'm an independent artist, content creator, etc. You know,
How long you been making music for?
for legitly, I've been doing it legitly for about a year and a half.
Okay, so like releasing studio tracks pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of what I
But
was asking.
you know, I've wrote music for a while. I used to write it in like poetry form when I was a kid.
Okay.
But that's kind of how I got started with it. And then freestyling with the boys and all that good stuff, you know.
Yeah, and all the stories that I've come across, it seems like almost every single rapper is a poet.
Yep.
And it almost leads into my theory. And again, like people could take this how they want. It's an opinion. Rap is the easiest musician style thing that you can get into because you don't need to know an instrument other than your own vocal patterns.
Right. I've
And
never learned an instrument in my life.
yeah, me either. I don't know a single one. I know the Lean on Me tune on a piano, but I only
I
know
could do
like
Mary Had a Little Lamb.
yeah, pretty much. You know the few cues, but if somebody asked you to play the whole symphony, this on the entire keyboard, it's like nah. I know these 4 keys over here.
Yeah, it's not there.
What drives your creativity?
To be honest, the homies. Like seeing everybody else going out there expressing their lives and things they've been through. You know, I've grew up pretty messed up life, you know. So soon I'm gonna get into that, but right now I'm really trying to find like a sound that everybody likes.
Mm-hmm.
So my creativity behind it is more just whatever beat's playing, try and hit that flow on that beat. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like that's I don't know. I've always been creative though when it comes to music or content. I always have the ideas, but it's the drive to do the idea, the execution of the idea.
Do you have ADHD?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. Execution is it's a hard thing to just keep the habit of doing because what happens is procrastination because people will have so many ideas. I heard somebody again it was probably Jordan Peterson because he teaches me a lot of shit. He basically said that there are certain people out there that will have tons of ideas that are one sentence long and they never do anything with any of those ideas.
Oh yeah.
That is inevitably a problem. So like for people like us who obviously have attention disorders as well, we have to hyper zone in on something so that way it actually allows us to execute.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise what we'll do is we'll end up with like 100 different plans and no execution. Yeah.
Yeah. If I had a manager,
yeah,
my life would be so much better.
So you're good at doing what you're told. So if somebody's
Yes.
like, "Hey man, go get in the studio, record a new
Yes.
song," you haven't really.
I'd be I'd
You'd be
be in
like,
the
"All right,
studio do that.
right, yeah, I'm good with a manager too." But what happens is, if you give somebody that level of power over you, you can't really be upset when they execute it. And what'll happen is, say it's a manager that you're not paying. So like for example, like say you have one of your homies do that for you
Right.
because you like your homie and your homie likes you and your homie wants what's best for you. Like let's say it's a really good homie,
Right.
not just some rando. Um, and he's actually telling you what to do and you never do anything that he says, it's gonna make him
Well,
feel a type of way
that's
about
gonna
you.
be a problem.
Right.
Like that's where you gotta set your standards,
Mm-hmm.
what I don't want you to tell me to do
Right.
or what you have full access to tell me, you know what I mean? So if I
Yeah.
did have a manager, it came to that point of getting a manager like that,
Mm.
that's when
They'd have a list of duties.
they would have a list like, don't tell me to do this because
Right.
I'll probably tell you to F off,
Right. Well, it's a communication matters. So like if you're hiring somebody to do a certain job, you need to obviously relinquish that power to them, but also be able to stand your ground when it comes to being your own person. Yeah,
Right.
like you're my manager, but you're not my boss.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. I'm my
exactly.
own boss,
Yeah.
but you could just guide me. That's
Yeah,
what I
so
need. I need the guidance.
yeah, so like I do a similar thing like with my lady. I suck at waking up, but I want to be awake at a certain time because otherwise I'll just sleep until 6 o'clock in the morning and then I got to be to work in an hour.
Right.
I don't like that. I like starting my day doing what I like to do, which is working on editing a video, recording something if I need to, editing some music. I heard somebody say a while ago when you start the day with your successes instead of somebody else's successes, you like create a better foundation for your day.
Well, I might take that advice or whatever from you because I have a habit of waking up 20 minutes before I gotta leave for work. I wake up, brush my teeth, and I'm out the door.
Yep.
Like
Well, and then
that's
what happens is you start your day working for somebody else.
right. Yep. That does make
And
sense.
yeah, does that make you happy?
Hell no. Who
Right.
wants to go work for somebody else?
Exactly. So when I start my day, again, this is not me. Like I'm preaching something that I learned from somebody else, and I
Right.
like to share information that helps me. Again, I procrastinate sometimes, so my lady wakes me up at 2:30. She don't have to, and sometimes I don't wake up. Like today, I woke up, went and took a pee, and for whatever reason, I couldn't keep my eyes open, so I laid back down for an hour and a half. But I still
Right.
woke up at 4 o'clock because I didn't want to hit REM sleep. Because if I hit REM sleep, then I probably wouldn't have woke up to my
Yeah, been
alarm.
over with.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't have went to work. I wouldn't have been able to drop my kids off, and then that would have been a spiral of negativity for my day, and that wouldn't have been
hmm
good. But yeah, starting your day with your own projects, it's a good foundation. Even if that project is, I don't work out enough, so I'm gonna wake up a little bit earlier, and I'm gonna do 10 setups in the morning. I'm gonna do 10 push-ups in the morning. I'm gonna do 10 squats in the morning. So super basic workout, but most people don't have time to work out throughout the day because they go to work and then they're exhausted after work.
Yeah,
You know,
that's how I am right now.
again, this is another thing I learned from somebody else. They said just in passing, he doesn't have time to work out. So what he does is he wakes up super early before his day starts, before anybody else in his life is awake. So he has nothing to do.
Right. I need to
So
take
now he doesn't have that excuse anymore.
I need to take some of them points and put them
Yeah.
towards my lifestyle.
Sleeping schedule is hard. You know, me on average, I get like maybe 4 or 5 hours, and then that'll catch up to me. Once I've done that, you know, collectively, all that sleep
Right.
deprivation sort of catches up, and then I end up in days where I have to sleep an
My
extra couple
problem
hours.
right now is I can't take my medicine no more. You know, I
Okay.
can't smoke the wee wees no
Oh,
more.
okay, okay.
So I be having these night terrors every night,
Um,
and I be waking up, 20, 30 times throughout the night.
have you thought of frequencies?
Yeah, I do.
So
432 and all that. I do play
they have
those.
tons of them, and they really help. They can actually be a detriment because you can like if you're playing those on your phone, if your audio continues playing that, but also plays your alarm at the same time, you're almost not going to hear your alarm because your body's tuned into the frequency potentially.
Right.
I noticed that with myself. My alarms on my phone wouldn't shut those things off, so I had to start playing it on a separate device.
Okay.
So that helps. Um, I recommend definitely doing that every night. What you'll do is you'll almost train your brain. When you hear that, you go to sleep.
Right.
Um,
I started doing it when my daughter would come over to stay the night
mhm,
because, we'll be playing till nighttime and she don't want to go to sleep right away. So I'll turn on the frequencies on
mhm.
YouTube, I'll look them
Yep.
up. Usually, like, we're sleeping by 20, 30 minutes after I turn
Yeah,
those
you can
on.
almost not help but zone out into those
Yeah,
things, and they provoke a feeling in you. I found them on accident because I listen to a lot of I assume and Zen music does the same thing.
what's Zen music?
So like I don't know if it's technically Japanese, but imagine you're walking through like a Japanese garden. So
Like the rainfall type deal,
yeah,
or
yeah,
just
it
like,
could. Some Zen music could be rainfall. Usually, it's particular instruments. Maybe if I remember or whatever, I'll shoot you my Zen playlist.
okay,
I do bonsai gardening, and I like music with. Well, I mean, you probably have. You like music without lyrics, with no lyrics.
right.
Well, that branches out across the board for me.
I've
And
actually made a couple songs in the 432 of my personal music.
oh, okay.
And it's crazy because I made them in, your normal hertz,
Mm,
and then I dropped it in the 432, and you can literally hear the difference. Like I make like party type music mostly
yeah, no,
right
I was
now.
checking that out today. We were gonna
So,
get into that at some
yeah.
point.
So, one of the songs was What You Want,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the WYO song. I have that in 432. When I play it at 432, you get a totally different reaction with your body.
Oh, that's
Like it
interesting.
literally brings you into the sound. So when I go to make my EP about my childhood,
Okay.
it's going to be in 432 because it's going to be super sentimental lyrics, words I want people to like really zone into, not move their bodies and dance to. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like
right.
right now, I want to
Stepping
see.
out that party bag and trying to
Right.
get more personal.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed tidbits of personalness it seemed in your music cuz I had to you kind of put me on the spot today, but I appreciated it because I had no intention of recording a podcast today, even though
Right.
like we were gonna do it mainly because I wanted to coordinate and do it a little bit better. But again, that almost felt like I was stepping on my own toes. So I appreciate you actually trying to double check and just kind of reaching back out because it seems like sometimes people don't actually reach back out when you say you want to work with them. They don't like follow up,
Right.
and everybody's got so much stuff going on, but it almost makes it seem like sometimes nobody wants to work with you. You know what I mean? Because everybody's so bad at following up. So I appreciated that about you. I
It
just wanted to
actually
let
was
you
a
know that.
coincidence because you said you wanted to do Tuesday last week when you texted me.
Yeah, no, no, I
My
remember.
damn phone got unplugged last night,
Uh,
so my phone was dead this morning.
yeah,
I didn't have alarms. I woke up at 7:30. Normally I'm
yeah.
up at 5:30. I was like, oh shit. So I ended up not going to work. So
Okay,
as soon as I woke up, I was like, I'm
I
gonna
got
shoot.
time.
I'm gonna shoot Aaron a message.
Well, what's crazy is that's almost like universal that you had that thought. Um, Scrap and I were talking earlier about me trying to get the footage for the cipher he did so I could fidget with it and whatnot, do my thing. Um, and we were talking, and then you mentioned that, and I'm like, oh, there's like literally, I almost have no excuse. You know what I mean? I
I
didn't know
have
you
the
lived in,
time. I'm gonna be in
and it
town.
was exactly that's what I'm saying. It's almost like the universe was telling me reach out to Scrap, but the universe was also telling you to reach out to me on the same day that put us both like you obviously are here all the time. You live here.
Right.
But oh yeah, speaking of sidetrack, we've now recorded in 3 different cities in Michigan. Fully mobile. We've hit Constantine, Three Rivers, Kalamazoo.
That's growth right there,
Yeah,
chat.
we
That's
mobile.
growth, chat.
Um,
Tap that screen on the TikTok live. I love y'all.
yeah, honestly, I'm not used to that. I thought that was a camera again. So yeah, that would be interesting to do lives and then have somebody that's shooting the live for the podcast and able to like pitch questions to people.
Right.
So
It would
that's
be
an
nice to
interesting
have somebody behind the phone right now, like
right to
talking
yeah
to the
do that.
chat,
Yeah,
because
not
I
to
can't
mention
even read it.
yeah. Maybe we'll have him come over there. If you have any questions, drop it in the chat, and I'll try and remember to have him slide over, and we'll do a little segment where we're answering potentially some of your guys' questions. That sounds cool. Um, Lean back, yeah. It seemed like the universe for sure wanted this to happen today. I don't know. I'm not an extremely spiritual person, but I believe things that they do kind of happen for a reason, and it's odd in some way. You overslept, happened to be like, well, now I got time to do the podcast. I wasn't even thinking about the podcast. I'm gonna be completely honest. I try not to lie at all. If that makes me seem like an asshole, I apologize right off
I'm the
rip. But
same way, bro.
you
I'm
know what
gonna
I
lay
mean?
it
I'd rather
blunt.
admit and us have a level playing field as far as building a relationship. You know, admit
Hmm.
my fault. I wasn't thinking about it. I reached out to Mud at one point and kept talking to him. He's my co-host. If you didn't watch the others, yeah. So it wasn't. So it's weird. It's weird. It's kind of weird,
I
right?
am pretty spiritual, so
Okay.
like
So yeah, that's interesting.
that is cool that the universe was talking to you and I at the same time.
Right.
That's
Exactly. It almost made it work because I didn't even know you were in Three Rivers.
hmm
So when I was setting things up with Scrap, the universe obviously wanted me to be in Three Rivers today. Might as well double up.
Yep, double up.
Yeah, I love double dipping. So I was good. There was a follow up question about what drives your creativity, but I think you kind of answered it with your initial response, which was the homies. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? They kind of.
I would have
Uh,
never thought of myself to actually go out and try doing music for
mhm.
like a lifestyle until a couple years ago. Michael Watkins, he started throwing the shows
Oh,
at the Harvey
just Michael.
House. Just Michael.
Yep. Shout
Before,
out, just Mike.
shout out Just Michael. He started doing the shows before Nikki took over.
Okay.
So I was going to those shows. I was like, hold on, I got music on my phone that I'd be recording. So I
Okay.
showed him some songs, and he's like, yo, you should come start performing. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to start performing, I ain't going to be doing recording on my phone.
Right.
So
Yeah.
then that's when I, met Tay.
Level
Tay
up.
Too Crazy. Shout out him too.
Shout out Tay.
So I was in his studio working. I dropped my first little album with him. And I actually did that like 3 days before my first show.
Okay.
I
Oh,
recorded like
nice.
3 songs. Well, it was all in one week, really. I recorded a whole, like, I think a 7 song album all before my first
You
performance.
gotta listen to those like 1,000 times too, just to make sure you got the lyrics
Yeah,
right.
like literally. It was so quick, like so spontaneous.
Hey man, sometimes that's how things gotta happen,
Mm.
because otherwise, what else you got? You may or may not do anything ever if you're always like, oh, I'll do it when I get better.
Right.
Like, what's the point in waiting?
And that's me. Like, I know I'm not where I want to be with music at all, whatsoever. But I think I've grown a lot within these last 2 years of actually taking it serious.
Okay. Well,
Because
yeah, I mean,
before I was just kind of doing it for fun,
yeah, you
for
released
shits
a
and
whole
giggles.
album and you've only been doing it
I got a
for
20-song album right now that's waiting to be dropped.
oh
Of
shit. Yeah, shout it out,
Yeah,
shout it out.
of a lot of like new music. I'm gonna re-drop some old stuff that I deleted prior because I switched my name for that little bit of time.
Okay, what did it used to be?
Kid Jeffrey was the original. Yeah.
Did I? No, I don't need one. I don't know where this one came from.
Oh,
Is this yours? I mean, you can have it. I don't ever use them.
me? I don't
He's
know.
like me either.
Me?
I have no idea. Who did I get a lighter from?
Scrap probably.
Oh my god, that's Scrap's lighter. My bad, Scrap. I didn't even, why do I have your lighter? Scrap, why do I have your lighter, bro? I didn't even light the dude. You did. Why'd you hand me the lighter? It's gotta be Scrap's. That's strange. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off there. That
No,
threw
you're
me off. I'm
good.
like, where the fuck does this lighter come from? Like, did I pocket something off his table? Thinking I'm
I was looking. I was
klepto and
like,
shit.
I thought I only had 2 lighters, but
Yeah, I mean, there's two right there. But anyway, that was strange. So I like to come a little bit prepared. So that's why I was like a little apprehensive at first. I'm like, well, I'm not necessarily prepared. So I like to familiarize myself with people's music, and then I like to try and draw questions from those. Yours are really hard. Um,
why is that?
is that a flag? Did I cause you to get a flag from all my swearing? Oh, did you get banned?
Oh, because you're talking about doobies.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I should have used a different word. Oh, my bad. My bad. You can't even talk about it? Fucking, it's China, bro. It's fucking China, bro.
Well, it's American
Fucking,
now.
it's not though, not yet.
I thought American.
Check. Mic check.
My bad, chat. For podcast people.
RIP headphone listeners. No, we'll try and clip that out. Yeah, this seems to still be going. Yeah, my bad on that, bro.
No, you're good.
No, that's not cool.
It was
I'm over
probably
here
the
getting you
lighter,
flagged.
to be honest. I don't fucking know.
Could it have been the lighter? No, it was probably the
The
D
D
word.
Yeah, the D
Oh damn,
word.
that's gonna get us now. Saying the D word.
I know you can't say the R word.
You can't say any words apparently.
You can't. Anyway, continue.
Man, yeah, they like that threw me off. I looked over and I was like, I know what that means. I know what that means. I've gotten a couple of those. Yeah, so I like to come prepared. Your stuff is hard to it's hard to understand without listening to it multiple times, to be completely honest. Like I might have to get like I like your style. You sound so different compared to anybody else I was listening to you for over an hour trying to find like a particular song that does go out of its way to impress me. I really like that Start Over track. That was one of the ones I seen you perform, I believe, at Harvey House once. Maybe.
Probably.
Or maybe I seen a post about
Or
it.
Potopia last year.
Could have been. I don't know if I seen you perform last year, to be honest. I know I remember seeing some of your posts on the internet, but I was hired to film Scrap that time, so I was following him around.
I didn't perform that day.
Oh, okay.
I was doing content that day.
and I didn't show. I only showed up that day for Potopia.
Okay.
So yeah, I definitely didn't get to see you perform. My first, I think, was at the Harvey House when I first seen you perform. That was actually pretty, and then I seen you perform at Featherbone.
Yep, Fright Night.
Yep,
the
yep,
Fright
you were
Night
dressed
one.
as Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was sick.
That's actually what got me a lot of traction on TikTok. Was the
dude,
wig.
They like all sorts of crazy weird stuff, but they don't like the D word with the OBBIE.
Unless you talk about the artist, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what's weird. Because if we were talking about him, we would have still gotten flagged. Because the algorithm's not gonna know the difference. They only hear the word. So
that's crazy.
We'll call him D word OBBIE.
DOOBIE.
Yeah, there we go. DOOBIE. That's good. I guess you like his music then, seeing how you reference him.
Yeah, I actually know a girl who slept with him that I went to school with.
That's interesting. Shout out DOOBIE.
Hey, shout out T-Bone on the TikTok live right now. Travis is on the TikTok.
Hey, what up, Trab? King Trab. So I tried to come prepared. I tried to familiarize myself with a bunch of your lyrics and trying to find ones that deliberately stood out to me. I'm glad that you happen to actually lead in and say that you're working on more personal stuff, because I like music that sounds real to me, but it doesn't even have to be real to me, like relatably wise. Like for example, Sleazy's song, Don't Promise Me. Have you heard it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
that fucking song is phenomenal. There's a lot of relatable lyrics even to people that may not necessarily live whatever lifestyle he lives. So it like incorporates him. It incorporates potentially what other people could feel and things like that. And those are things that I really gravitate towards, probably because NF is my favorite artist. So
Okay. Yep.
it's pretty like blatant. But I also think authenticity matters, and that's how your music comes across to me. Authentically you.
Right.
The things you were saying in your music, I believed.
Yeah.
You know, like
I don't lie in none of my music.
right. Well, like even if you were saying things that I've heard before, it does sound like something that fits like what I would perceive you off of first glance, for example. Like whereas like what's a good like Slim Jesus is a good example of somebody's music who does not match what the fuck they look like. Right?
Right.
Not to mention, he's also lying. He doesn't do any of the stuff in his music. That throws me off.
Okay.
And in some regard, like I may end up liking your music, but the moment I find out it's not that real, I'm only liking the music, and I'm probably not gonna like you so much because I'm gonna feel like maybe to some degree you're a liar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I understand that music is art, but if you are making art that's not about you and you're literally doing it for the attention of that style of music,
Right.
Slim Jesus, I think that that's odd. Now, again, I'm not trying to like say I don't like Slim Jesus because I actually respected him for just being so openly honest about everything.
Right.
That is also something that I will respect. But I'm not the kind of person that separates artist from or like art from the artist.
Right.
Your art is you, and if you are a liar,
There's a few people that I'm not gonna shout no names out,
mm,
but there's a few people that I know them as a person.
uh,
I might not know them deeply, but
right,
I've seen them in public,
right,
and what they say in their music doesn't revolve around their lifestyle, and
right,
it irritates me.
right.
Like,
It's either a you're trying to be in a lane that you shouldn't be in, or you're only making music because you like it, not because it's real for you.
right,
And I don't think that that's something that, like, hey, you can do it. You can do what you want. But inevitably, people might suss that out. And that's going to be a potential downfall. So, like, even if you had the greatest rise ever, Slim Jesus,
Son Jesus.
inevitably, what will happen is only a certain amount of people are going to mess with you once they realize that you aren't what you're peddling.
Hmm.
Like, imagine Kendrick Lamar comes out and like, again, nothing against gay people, but say he turns out to be gay and not do any of the stuff in his music.
Right.
Credibility immediately gone. And again, I'm not saying that
Fame
because nobody
gone.
likes gay people. I'm saying that because Kendrick is a dad. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if he's married, but he has a certain persona. So the moment you like do anything of the sort that breaks that image of you, it can potentially cause a lot of your fan base to go away. This is why
Hmm.
I'm the same me on camera as I am off of
Yeah,
camera.
yeah, that's how I'm
Yeah,
the same person. And
right.
you're gonna get that through my music. Like, I do a lot of party music,
Hmm.
but granted,
Do you do a lot of partying?
I used to.
Oh, okay. So
So, from the
it's
point I
whittled
was
down.
16 to I had my daughter,
Hmm.
I was very deep in the party scene and the bad lifestyle scene.
Right.
So,
Getting it out young.
yeah,
That's
I,
what I
I've
did.
made a lot of bad mistakes.
Yeah.
And I don't like, and when it comes to making music,
Mm.
I don't like depressing music, so I don't like personally like down bad music. I don't want people to feel down bad even though I grew up a rough lifestyle or whatever. So when I was making music starting out,
Hmm.
I was trying to turn people up and like females make them shake their butts, you know what
Is
I
that
mean?
is that
Like,
the music that you liked?
yeah, and like I like
You didn't.
the
What
party
it based
music
on the
and
way you said it. It sounded like you said you don't want to make music that makes people feel. You wanted to make people feel good,
right.
not just feel in
I was
general.
trying to make them be uplifted by my
Right.
music, not
Right.
not
You
down
don't
bad. You know
you
what I
don't
mean?
think that somebody like NF's music would potentially be uplifting, even though
It
it
can
could be
definitely
classified as
it could
depressing.
definitely connect with
Uh huh.
you. And I have my own songs that I listen to like riding in the car and stuff like that. But when I was first starting out,
Hmm.
I was performing and stuff. I didn't want to go perform these songs that has people crying or
Right.
coming up to me
Yeah.
after the performance and giving me hugs and telling me they sorry and
Hell yeah. Pause. Pause. Appreciate you for that.
what's up, chat? I can come talk to y'all. Thanks for the taps, T-Bone. We
Hell
love you,
yeah.
dog.
Invite I'm so sleazy to join the live. Oh, that's dope. I never even thought about that. We can get a double set. Um
But if I continue from that
yeah,
point,
yeah, go ahead.
um, going out and performing for like my first couple of years performing or whatever, I wanted to see people dancing, having fun, and coming up to me and like, having good vibes.
Right.
But now I'm getting to the point where I'm finding my sound for real,
Hmm.
and now I'm kind of ready for that reaction of, oh man, you went through this, because then I'm gonna know how to react back to it.
Right.
I'm not gonna be like, oh, bro, just it's fine, like you know what I mean. But now I'm gonna be able to sit down, sit back, and relate to somebody else over my music. Where personally, before that, I didn't want to.
Right.
I just wanted to see people dancing, having a good time, and that was it. But now I'm ready for like, to talk about my childhood and all this and get all the reactions that, people probably want to hear from me. Because a lot of people from my family or people I grew up with at school,
They're not gonna listen to that, right? The party stuff.
the party stuff, yeah, nobody likes it.
Right.
I don't have a big fan base on my music right now.
I mean,
But
40
really,
monthly listeners is not bad.
well, I did have 2,000 last month, but it dropped because I had a song called "Keep Moving Your Body." It
Mm.
got 12,000 views.
Oh yeah, that will
So
spikes in yeah, content will do
it
that
was
to you.
up,
Content will do that to you.
but then I switched my name and did all this extra shit. And
Hmm.
now the reason I went back to Kid Jeffrey is because like that's my dad's name. That's my
Okay.
middle name.
I was gonna end up leading into it, so I like that you kind of slid in
Yeah.
there. Go ahead. Keep going.
So the reason I went back to that is because I think I'm finally ready to make real music.
Right.
And y'all are gonna be actually shook because I'm gonna pay money for studios and I'm gonna make that shit sound good. And y'all are gonna relate to some shit and learn a lot about me that you probably never knew. Cause I was very two-faced growing up too.
If he needs some studio time, we got Dreamy Vision Productions
I
based in
talked to
Kalamazoo,
him yesterday.
Kalamazoo, Michigan. RubyCloud Entertainment sponsors them, even though I don't actually give him no money.
I did talk to Dreams yesterday,
Hell yeah.
and I am gonna book some sessions with him.
Well, if you ever
So
you got a car, you got your own whip. Okay, cool. Well,
yep,
if you ever have an issue there or whatever, yeah, fucking, we can work something
we're
out.
gonna make it work.
We can make something. Well, yeah, we can always make something work. He's mobile. You're mobile. Worst case scenario, if you're not mobile and he's not mobile, hit me up. We'll figure something
We'll
out, man.
figure it
Like
out.
artist services is something that I'm really about because when I first started, I didn't have none of that. I had nobody helping me.
Right.
Zero people, and I wasted a lot of time with people I thought cared.
And that's a problem in this world right now.
Yeah.
Everybody is very, very selfish. Like,
I wouldn't even say that about those particular people, as I think everybody thought I was just like it was a joke. Like it was for fun. Like I
like you
wasn't
didn't want to actually pursue it for real.
right. Like RubyCloud Entertainment was just a fucking pipe dream. It's like, no, man. Like I'm
See, when I
talking.
seen it all, I seen your vision before the vision was even there. Before, cause like I watched that first episode of the documentary you
Yeah,
had.
so that's after a huge break.
I'd never seen anything before that.
Yeah, exactly. So like I was prior, like even Scrap even was a little apprehensive like about like accepting any advice because I disappeared for so long. But all I've been doing after my disappearing is learning how to be a better me
Right.
because the person that I wasn't gonna make me who I need to be.
Exactly.
The person I used to be wouldn't be sitting here recording a podcast with you. I'd be too busy planning, like you were talking about. Thousand fucking ideas, one
Too
set
busy
long.
thinking and not doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I I think it was videography that really helped me buckle down, turn RubyCloud Entertainment into what I feel is a soft launch for a business as far as videography and photography. I don't know if you uh, check out any of the photos or whatever that maybe again like we
I see the things from the shows.
it's hard for a lot of people to get views from other people when we're constantly interacting with so many things that are different than like I don't know what you interact with on Facebook, but me and you just recently became friends, so Facebook doesn't even know we like each other.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
What's funny is after Facebook shifted from a timeline thing to an algorithm thing, nobody saw any of my shit for years. And I didn't even realize because
I
I
think
didn't know how to look.
I've really ran through that with Facebook because the people that I want to see interact with my stuff, I never see interact with
Yeah,
it.
because they're too
I
busy
see the
watching cat
same
videos.
people
Yeah,
on my interactions.
yeah. So it's the people that you want to see your stuff won't see your stuff because like for example, like say you send them a post directly to their DM and they don't ever click it.
Then
Facebook knows that.
and
So like again, I'm not trying to
okay.
like like call your people out, but Facebook knows that. If I share my face, this is another reason why I don't share my Facebook post through Messenger. it will fuck shit up for you.
Okay, that's smart.
Because if you share that and then nobody clicks that link, Facebook can track that through and through. You know what Facebook can't track? Share, copy link. They don't know what you did with that link, so they think it was a share.
Okay,
Granted, they're not going to get extra views if you don't share that somewhere else,
right.
but the algorithm knows that you shared it, quote unquote. So,
So
say,
that's all that really matters is that share button.
yeah, well, the click, yeah, clicking
Yeah.
that copy link, whether or not you actually share it somewhere else, kind of matters. It kind of matters. The reason I want to say it kind of matters is because if I share it somewhere else and somebody does click it, yeah, technically it helped.
Right.
But if somebody doesn't click it,
then
and
it's
it's
gonna low
on
key be
Facebook where
negative.
they shared it, yeah, so like Facebook doesn't have access to track you sharing something through your messages, like your text messages.
Right.
But they track everything in your messenger. You know how I know? That I keep getting a flag when I switch in between my messengers now. When I switch back to my personal one, they're like, you have messages that go against our terms of service. Bitch, who the fuck are you? These are my messages. They're not your messages. Right. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I get it. It's on your platform, but
That's wild.
Facebook. Jesus, man. Like, it's my messages. Like, do I care that you have access to them? No, I don't. Because I don't do illegal shit. So
Right.
I don't care what you have access
I
to.
ain't
But
doing
don't
crimes
tell
on
me,
Facebook.
Don't tell me I can't bully my friends. You can tell me on the Facebook wall and in your algorithm that I can't bully people. But you can't tell me I can't bullshit with my
Especially
friends.
the direct messages, like in the messenger.
Exactly, but they are. I can show you before I leave. If I switch to my RubyCloud Entertainment messages and then switch back to my personal messages, this flag pops up that says that I have messages that go against their terms of service.
What the hell?
Right.
You never heard that.
Well, you wouldn't if you're not switching your messenger between two different accounts. You probably would never get the flag because it's not like something that just pops up and you don't ever sign out of your messenger.
Right,
It's just
no.
always there. You might go offline if you don't want people messaging you, but nobody signs out.
That's funny
And
shit.
fucking, that's actually a fucking cheat that they did a long time ago, I realized.
That's funny
Well,
shit.
Facebook probably has, how many hours of activity can they claim that nobody was actually doing anything at all?
Right.
Because you're logged in to Facebook and you're active on Messenger. But you're not actually using the Messenger. You're not actually using Facebook.
That's when they, you know how people say your phones be spying on you.
Oh, you know it does.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I
that's the
guarantee-
type shit. You
yeah,
don't gotta
we're-
be on Facebook,
Yeah,
but that bitch is listening right
I'm gonna
now.
go up to his phone afterwards, and right before I leave, I'm gonna just whisper my YouTube channel name like over and over, and then it's just gonna start recommending it to him.
I'm sure it's gonna pop up just for you being in the same
In the
location
same
as
room.
me for this
Absolutely.
long.
That
you know?
actually does happen. I notice when I go to PA, I see more people from content in PA if I'm scrolling like TikTok or something.
Right.
So it definitely has a lot to do with location.
And I learned too, and you could use this too on your content pages that you post.
Okay.
Your tags.
Mhm.
If you're tagging, like me, I live in Three Rivers, so I tag Three Rivers a lot. But I took a trip out to Cali in Arizona. When I was out there, I was tagging Cali, like LA, and I was tagging Lake Havasu City, Arizona, where I was at.
While you're in location.
While I was there, and when I got back, because
Okay.
I
You're
shot a
posting
music
stuff.
video out there,
Right.
so I got back and I edited it here and posted it here.
Okay.
But I was tagging that location. I had more views on those content than I ever did
Yeah, it's
on
'cause
this
people,
content.
people in California are terminally online.
And there, it's just so much. Like, I'm sure if we started tagging Detroit, we'd probably get
You'd probably get some traction,
more
potentially-
views than you
potentially.
would tagging
Tags
Three
are
Rivers.
really weird because I don't know. I think depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it, it can potentially hurt. But like you were saying, if you're in location and then you're doing it or you're posting something from that location, yeah, it kind of makes sense. But then you get like the bad actors who are just tagging LA because LA has traction.
Right, but they're from Santa Monica. You know
Right,
what I mean? Like,
exactly. Yeah, doing it authentically makes sense to me. So that is actually good advice. I'll keep that in mind because I don't do that when I'm in PA. I still just make posts.
right.
It is what
Just
it
do
is,
your
man.
thing.
I just do my thing. It's just like if I'm making a video, you know I'm somewhere else because I'm not where I usually am. And usually I'm on the go when I'm making content for the most part. I suck at making content to be completely honest. I'm
Me
more of a
too.
long
This summer,
form guy.
that's my goal is to grow as a content creator, so it draws more eyes to the music.
Well, if you ever just want to randomly
So
bounce ideas, let me know.
yeah,
You
we could definitely
something I
collab.
learned. Your music content, your music is content, right?
Right.
So your past catalog of music is like a content bag that you're just waiting to pull something out of. So if you have a song that has a certain topic or whatever, or maybe even a very specific lyric that you think you can make content out of,
Yes.
that's very
And
good.
I just started doing that
Yeah.
with my newest song because now I'm making my own beats.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not afraid to, you know,
A content avenue for you that you should do if you make your own instrumentals, open verses.
okay.
You do them for people. So find people who have open verse challenges, do those, and then make your own open verse challenges and hope that people come do yours.
Okay.
So if you do an open verse challenge or whatever, I might hop on because I'm trying to think of different content for my artist page because I suck. Mainly because I'm trying to build that content bag, the back catalog. I only got like 5 songs right now,
Right.
and a lot of my stuff is not. I don't know. It's either cocky or it's sad boy music, I guess you could say, for
Okay.
deep music that means something to me. And that's hard for me to want to go out of my way to consistently do that when something like this, to me, doing this feels selfless.
Right.
Talking to you, having a conversation that could build a relationship, could potentially get somebody to check you out. That makes me feel like I did something. Like, sure, I can make a fucking TikTok video and let's say it potentially goes viral. That's good for me.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, that may trickle down to somebody else, but I think something like this is a little bit better because maybe we have a couple of points of conversation that helps somebody else that
Right.
watches it.
Yep.
They hear something that triggers something in them, or you share something that triggers something in me
Well, you already did with the waking up early and doing something for myself instead of going straight to work.
for
So
somebody
now
else. That
tomorrow,
part's important. Going to work for somebody else.
yeah, tomorrow your boy's waking up at 4 a.m. You know what I
Even
mean?
if it's only an hour, man. Not even it doesn't even have to be an hour. Just waking up and like you said, that habit of constantly waking up and then you're shit shower shave type thing and then you're at work.
Right.
Like if all you have time to do is shit shower and shave in the morning and then you're at work working for somebody else, that's not making you feel fulfilled.
No.
And the number one problem I've noticed, and what's funny is Shorty 40 had a TikTok video or just a online video. I don't know where I saw it, but he had one that literally solidified this for me. Waking up and trying to do something for myself and not just rushing right to work. Sometimes I do it, if I know I got a bunch of shit to do at work. I drive
Right.
forklift and stuff, and I'm the only person that works in my warehouse. So if
Oh,
I'm
so
not there working, nothing's getting
nothing's
done.
yeah, it's gonna be a
So
bad day for somebody.
yeah. So sometimes I will wake up and go right to work if I know I got shit to do. But for the most part, I do try to wake up and work on a project of my own. And I, over time, incorporated, like I said, the mini workout in there because somebody else said something that was like, well, you make time for things that are important. Right. And that's kind of what that guy who said, well, I ain't got time throughout my day because it's so busy. Yeah. Maybe.
Sorry if y'all hear that train, man.
Yeah. Actually, probably hold on a second
Yeah.
because. But yeah, just making time is never an issue for a priority,
Right.
and that is like a key value I hold dear.
And
So,
that's like I struggle with that because I told you last week I worked 56 hours.
mm-hmm.
So in my head, I'm like, damn, I don't got no time for myself. And I almost posted a Snapchat dogging my work, but I love my job. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my job.
Yep.
But I almost made a thing dogging my work because I never had time to do anything for myself last week.
Mm-hmm.
I had 6 features I had to do. I only got one done, and I had to redo it.
Yeah, because you go to work and you come home and it's almost family time,
It's
right?
7 o'clock when I'm home. I don't even get to see my daughter through the week no more.
Damn.
Like it's bad.
Yeah,
It pisses me
my
off.
co-host Mud is in that because he has to work so much that he said that to me the other day and I felt that.
Jkinney, huh? Shout out
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jkinney, boy.
Yeah, actually, I was listening, and so I assume he's the feature on one of your songs. What was the name of it?
Is it Lost?
Is it? No, I don't think it was Lost. What was that one? Yacht something?
Goddamn,
Is that
nah.
him? No.
He was on the Buster Claps one.
That one. That's it. That was a banger. I
Hey,
was listening to that one earlier
hey,
on
we
the,
could talk
yeah.
about Buster
All
Claps.
right, yeah, that's a
That's
good segue.
that
Buster Claps.
that was a diss track to one of my
Yeah, no,
homeboys.
you guys went the budget in on him.
Yeah, every bar was a legit lyric. Okay, and I feel a little bad because
He's a homie.
not no, he's not homie no more.
Oh,
He
okay,
he
but
done ruined that,
okay.
but I still care about the guy.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? We were like brothers.
Well,
We were very
animosity
close.
doesn't mean hate.
Right. So we just had to put that out because the timing was right. You know, all that shit happened. If you go on YouTube and look
Hmm.
up Misfit Mafia Entertainment on YouTube, there's a music video to that, and everything that happened in that music video was the day that we recorded the track. Like he
Okay.
texted me, "You're weird," after our little talk we had. He said, "You're weird." It instantly to the mic, like instantly started
Why
spitting
not? Hey,
shit.
man, when you got inspiration, you run with it.
But yeah, that song, it was a good song. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I do kind of feel a little bad for him. But fuck him. You know what I'm saying? Fuck you,
Pause.
man.
Pause. There's only one person that's ever apologized for a diss track. And that was J. Cole. We not doing that here. He didn't apologize for a diss track on the RubyCloud Entertainment podcast.
This man commented. We never so Buster Claps. You know that's not his name. I'm not gonna say his name, but he literally
That's respect,
commented on the
actually.
fucking YouTube music videos.
Right. Nobody would
Y'all are
notice.
so childish. I was like, you dumbass. I was like, now
Like
you
nobody
just
knew
told
it.
everybody
Yeah.
you're Buster Claps. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Why would you do that to yourself?
like, you're the
Hey,
fucking idiot.
I am okay with anybody that wants to write a diss track on me because I like them. I love when other people write them and do them, but to me, I would never. And it's not because I can't. It's just because I like for the way you did it made sense. Now, if it was the scenario like that where I'm just immediately going in, I'm not thinking about it, I'm just doing it.
Right.
Then maybe I probably would. But I don't think I would ever like respond to somebody's diss track about me, mainly because I would be so flattered. Even if they're talking
Someone
shit,
cares about me so much they did a
they
song.
took they did a whole, nobody's ever written a song about me, bro. I've written so many songs about so many different people. I've included things that in songs that people helped me write. Like I'll be like, oh hey, give me something that you've never heard, like an idea that you've never heard in a song, and would intentionally put something like that in a song. So just like uniqueness, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I like hearing things that I've never heard before, and I think that's another reason. Like I don't want to. I don't mean things potentially to sound offensive. I just speak my mind. Your only problem, I think, overall, is like you said, production quality. I think your music has an extreme amount of uniqueness. I love your what is the word I'm looking for here? Your cockiness, your just the whole personality that's behind it. Like
Right.
I recently came across is it Casey Kane? Have you listened to him yet?
I am not.
He's kind of affiliated with like Dreams and Brax and whatnot. And he dude, yes, he's very like if you check out some of his music, like you can hear that you do kind of similar things that he does, even though you don't even know who he is.
Yeah, I've never.
So like the amount of you that it sounds goes into your tracks. Like you can kind of like if you listen to Call It What You Want, my song, you'll hear that like that's probably why I think I'll listen to your music even if the production quality is low and it doesn't make it on RubyCloud Radio. RubyCloud, I don't control fully 100% what goes on there
Right.
because otherwise that makes it to where there's less credibility. Sometimes I do. Sometimes things will just blow me the fuck away and I don't care what anybody else
Right.
says.
You're just like this is going
It's
on.
going on there. Like, but I also understand how certain Spotify like algorithms work. If I don't have certain types of songs in the playlist, so like every now and then a Kendrick Lamar song will pop up in the playlist because GNX is a dope album overall and his
Okay.
music is worth it. And having Kendrick Lamar on my playlist is
Well,
better than having like no artist. Like again, I don't mean like some of the things that I say might sound rude, just so you know. So if you have tons of artists that have zero credibility on your playlist will never get favored by the algorithm. Doesn't matter if there's like 3,000 monthly listeners amongst all of those people. You're
right.
never
I
yours.
seen this thing
Go ahead.
on a Facebook reel,
Mhm.
and it was talking about marketing your music.
Yep.
And one of the things about marketing the music that potentially helps you is build if you're gonna drop a track. So say my new track, Praise the Lord, if I drop it as a single, what I should do is go to Spotify, build a playlist
Mm-hmm.
with a bunch of famous artists that revolves in that same genre,
Oh yeah, similar. Yep,
and then put my track
heard that too.
in that
Yep,
playlist,
yep.
and then uh
Promote that.
promote the
Promote
shit
the whole the
out the
playlist
playlist.
itself. Yeah, so that's a credibility thing. So if you ask me to listen to your song, low credibility.
Right.
But if I ask somebody else to listen to your song,
Credibility raises.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And then again, that's when follower count kind of matters.
Yes.
Yes, they may not necessarily follower count that is also talking about you is way better than a high follower count and nobody's talking about you.
Engagement's huge.
Yes,
Like,
100%. Scrap gets that in
yes.
spades. Not the engagement itself. I'm saying he understands. Excuse me. That engagement is the key.
And that's like with TikTok, like I get a lot of engagement through TikTok. But on Facebook, I get the same like we talked earlier, I get the same people
Yeah.
engaging with my stuff.
A
And it's
book
like,
a book I read pretty much says that you have a professional page too, right, on
yes.
Facebook. So
Yeah.
what's happening is the people that are already following you aren't interacting with your shit, so the algorithm thinks nobody likes you.
Ain't
So
that some bullshit?
Mud, my co-host proved that just creating an entire brand new Facebook account could help you. Don't add none of the people that used to never interact with you. Let them slowly but surely find you and
And,
test the waters there. So start an entire account specific brand new, test the waters for a few weeks and see if you are
and not
prefer
a page, like a whole
oh, a
account.
whole account, whole ass new account.
I actually thought
Try
about doing that.
obviously promote the account with your old account. You
Right.
know, but I would personally reach out to people that you know already interact with you and like music. Um, the issue with your personal account becoming your artist account is you went from posting personal stuff to posting artistry stuff and nobody you know that already previously followed you likes that kind of stuff.
Right.
So when Facebook shifted to an algorithm instead of a timeline, like it buried you in the algorithm
Yeah.
because nobody was interacting. Like for me, for example, nobody was interacting with my post before we switched to an algorithm. So Facebook just assumed nobody liked me in the first place.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I've literally had to rebuild my page. And overall, Scrap kind of helped me because I didn't know that I wasn't a professional, like a public profile or whatever. I forgot that I'd closed that out or like locked down my account beforehand. And I guess I didn't.
Oh,
I
so
thought it
you were
just
promoting on a private account for a
more
minute?
or less is what it seemed like. And I was wondering why nobody's seen my stuff except for like one or two people. And I'm
Right.
like getting butt hurt and not gonna lie, I was like thinking about dying the account. I'm still contemplating dying the account as far as an artist page. I don't even really promote my music too much on my own Facebook because I've noticed since I started promoting everybody else.
It's going up. See, I thought about deleting the Facebook and starting all new again,
Personal,
or
yeah.
like start like making a new
Shift it.
one
Yeah.
because well, I have over 1,000 followers or whatever on Facebook, but they're all from my childhood, and
Yeah,
you know
your
what I'm
old
saying?
Facebook is a sharing platform for your new content on your new page. So
Right.
use your old Facebook like a page, and then obviously you could even keep that one for like your personal messages too. You know, so like that's what your messenger
See,
stays signed
I thought
into.
about doing that, but then again, I do get like a decent amount of engagement if the content's good.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why you
So,
keep it and use it as a sharing platform for your other one.
and then build a new one
And
and let that
yeah, the
grow.
people who do interact that see you sharing this other page will be like, oh, you know. So like basically, your artist posts on your personal page are shared from your artist page. This is what Brian does really well. So
Right.
Scrap.
Yeah.
He's got Scrap, which is I don't even know if that's an account or if it's just a page. I think it's just a page. Um, and he separates all of his content. Like he doesn't, and but then he shares it around.
He has
So
like
he's like,
5 pages.
it's actually a lot more than that.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm sure
dude, he's
good with it.
he's good at what he does. He's good at what he does. I don't mean to like act like I'm glazing the dude all the time, but I've had pretty in depth conversations with the way
Right.
and I watch him and I watch what he does, and when I see his stuff working, I'm like, oh,
He's
that's why
honestly
he's doing it.
he's honestly one of my people I look up to
Right,
when it comes
inspiration,
to
yeah,
inspirations.
or
Yes.
mentor even. I
I
mean,
mean,
whether or not
I haven't really got to know him on that close
okay.
of a personal level. We have hung
Well,
out and
business
stuff, but
interactions
it's
and
more
made
been
content.
business
Yeah,
interactions.
yeah. Me and Scrap are just now getting real personal. So to some degree,
I like
it's
to,
still
I
mostly
like to, but
business oriented.
right.
You know, because I think for a lot of people, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to include you in this, like even yourself included. This isn't just art for you.
No.
It's something that would probably make you happy to be able to do it for a living, and it just pay the fucking bills, hopefully, and maybe lead to something more later on down the road.
Yeah, like my whole thing with music, and I'm sorry for anybody who's like a true fan, but my goal is to have one hit. You know, if I can have one hit that changes my whole lifestyle,
Well,
I'm not gonna stop making music, but that's what I do this for. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I do it
So
for
you need a fine
myself,
apple.
you know, like I do it for myself,
Mm.
but and I do it for other people, don't get me wrong, but in all reality, I'm really looking to get that one hit. I'm never gonna sign no record label. I'm never gonna do none of that.
This set was actually a really neat idea with the way you set that up. Because both of us literally just.
That's why I said you'll know where the screen
And what's
is.
funny is that one will probably catch you, so it's gonna be like in the podcast. It's gonna randomly. This is gonna be an interesting one for sure. And like I'm constantly leaning left so I can be on there instead of like this because I looked over.
I know this. I can't cock back because then my head
Yep.
gets
I'm
out,
trying to be
so
conscious of it.
that's why I'm
Is
staying
that
there.
is that our timer?
That's your 28.
I'm gonna be honest, man. We're
That was a quick session.
well, I'm liking how it's like just almost flowing. I'm not necessarily having to revert to anything. We haven't even really dove into any of the personal questions, so.
Yeah, for this next segment, if you wanna, I'll let you ask questions.
Oh no, I'm like I enjoy the fact that it's authentic and it doesn't sound like I'm reading a script. I don't know, like if you watch the other podcast, you'll see that too. We won't end until I'm able to touch these 4 personal questions that I specifically created for you. I do have standardized questions for digging information out of people in case the conversation seems to start going downhill. You ever watch a podcast?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one that was boring as hell and it seems like things are going downhill?
And that's usually when I swipe out. You know,
right. So, I don't listen to podcasts like that for whatever reason. All the ones I get are like they got me like this furrowed brow, and I'm like sitting there like, what the fuck is? I'm a fly on the fucking wall of something I never thought I would know. I'm a very intellectual guy, so
tap that screen to top, share it to your people.
Yeah, share that shit. Or God might come over and slap your mama.
We'll hide the Bible with God watching.
That was actually probably one of the dopest lines I've ever heard.
I know.
So, in your most recent single, you say, "I'm losing myself before she is gone." How did you lose yourself before losing the person you are referring to in that lyric?
Is that the Setting the Mood song? I'm pretty sure.
I believe so. Whichever one was the most recent release on your Spotify.
Oh, the What Did I Just Do?
That might be
okay.
The one,
yeah. So I'm not even gonna say who it's about, but
oh yeah, you don't have to go into specifics about
basically
I just want to know
in that relationship that song came from. I went through the hardest time of my life without really knowing I was going through the hardest time of my life.
Okay.
So, actually, fuck it. I'm going to say it. It's my baby mama. All right?
Okay.
So, I was with my baby mama, and I lost my papa. And when I got with her, like I said, I was deep in the streets. I was deep in the party life. I was doing stupidest shit I could ever do. She's initially saved me from that.
Okay.
Getting with her like saved me from the bad shit I was doing.
Okay.
So I was already learning a whole different lifestyle, a whole different like being more of myself. perspective of life. And then I lost my papa. And like it was after my daughter was born. When my daughter was born, that's when I was like completely done with my lifestyle.
Mm.
So like I wasn't selling nothing no more. I wasn't going to Kalamazoo no more. I wasn't doing anything I was doing before once my daughter was born.
Right.
And then I think it was like 2 months later, my papa passed away. He's the one who raised me. Like I had my mom. My dad was always in prison, so he was there but not there. And he was the one who bought my shoes, who bought my cars, who took me to all my sport. He never missed a sporting event. Like he was my person. And when I lost him, still to this day, I haven't been to his grave. And that he passed away back in 21 or early 21. I still haven't really wrapped my head around it, and I've never even sat down and broke down over it. For some reason, I can't. Like it's weird. So with that relationship with her, I was really losing myself. Like I was really just not even knowing I was in this depressive state, not even knowing like I was so down bad, but I was. And when I when her and I split up, I went homeless. I started couch hopping. I was down bad again, and I wasn't seeing my kid like I wanted to be. I wasn't a good dad. So that time period, I really reflected on my past life a lot. So now I can sit here and tell you I was not the person I wanted to be when I was in that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So that lyric right there, I was really just like I was losing myself before she was even gone. And that's kind of what drove us to separate was
Yeah.
because I wasn't being the dad I should have been. I wasn't being the man I should have been to her. I was trying to figure out me without knowing how to, if that makes sense.
It does.
So,
Bro, I got fucking chills over here. I related to almost everything you fucking said, especially with the way.
and it makes me want to tear up talking about
Yeah,
it
you
because
good, man. This is a
that's
safe space, bro. You're welcome to do and be yourself. If you,
that
I
was
could
the
hear
hardest
it.
part of
Like,
my life without even knowing
yeah,
it was the hardest part of my life.
yeah. This is what the podcast is about, man. Right here is giving people a platform to just speak what's in here authentically, and I ain't gonna judge you.
Right.
But what's even crazier, man, is the way you speak about how you dealt with your grandfather's death is something we spoke about in the previous podcast. So
Really?
it's crazy insane. We didn't really go in depth about how I felt about like my grandfather's passing back when I was 7 or so, but how I deal with death and the way you talked about how you dealt with your grandfather's death is very similar. And the fact that I know that you also like I don't know if it was in the podcast that we were talking about. I asked if you had ADHD.
Oh,
Maybe we did start filming already when I asked that. So it's interesting when you have a conversation with somebody that you don't necessarily know that they think about things the way that you do, and then you go down a conversational thing with just a simple question that was very specifically written for you and only you could answer. And then for me to find out that we have a very similar thought process with dealing with death.
yeah.
Like you said, you haven't. It almost sounded like you were saying that you're not sure why you haven't cried or why you can't about somebody that you thought so highly of passing. And I have that problem too.
So I'm gonna touch on crying a little bit.
Okay.
So I didn't shed a tear for over 3 years,
Mm,
over 4 years. I didn't shed after my papa passed away and like time before that because I
right.
was happy for a little bit before that, so I wasn't crying or nothing. I wasn't depressed. But my papa died. I never shed a tear. Like I literally did not cry till I started going to church. And now I go to church every Sunday, and I just started doing that 3 months ago.
That's
Like I just
interesting.
found God. I'm trying to learn God. Never really got taught that in my lifestyle.
You're
So
talking me up over here, man.
I'm sorry, man.
No, keep going. Keep going. I'm not
But
trying to change you.
so now that I'm trying to really change my lifestyle, really find God and do better for me, that I broke down at church. And I literally texted my baby mama like I cried.
Right.
Like I'm like,
Right.
holy shit, I cried. And I told Josh, I was like, holy shit, I cried. And that now, every Sunday at church,
I know
I'm
why.
bawling.
I know why.
Why's that?
You cry when you're happy. You cry when you have such a feeling of overwhelming positive emotion. Have you ever wrote something that made you cry?
No, I've never.
Really?
Well,
Oh,
maybe.
dude, wait for it to happen. It's gonna happen, bro. If you've reached this level of spirituality with finding whatever higher power that you accept is higher than you, it's crazy that you talk about that because just recently I finished a book called "We Who Wrestle with God" and 12 Rules of Life, and they completely changed my perspective on religion because I learned a lot about the Christian religion and the King James version of the Bible that I never really learned when I was a kid because I didn't take a lot of the things that people were saying as stories because it seemed like they were peddling them more as truths rather than stories.
Right, right,
So when I learned that the Bible is just a library and collection of people telling their story of what they thought God was.
right.
Yeah, people are claiming that it's God, but like a lot of these people don't actually know. Like, really, there's only a few people in history who have ever seen God.
Jesus.
No, God Himself.
Or
If you like,
God.
listen to We Who Wrestle with God. This dude is great at interpreting the stories in the Bible, and he explains us. That book explains artists through and through. Artists are people who wrestle with the higher power inside of them because they know they're meant to do more than go work for somebody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? And maybe that was a part of the reason why like you weren't ever able to cry before because you didn't fully know who the fuck you were inside
I
because
didn't.
in some way shape or form, and I also think this plays into the way our brains work like as far as ADHD. um do you take medication for it?
I don't. Never
Yeah,
did.
exactly. So
Marijuana was my
me and you are
medication.
on a very similar potential frequency as far as how our brains probably operate. Manic states almost all the time, and it gets worse. The healthier you get, the less bad things that you start ingesting into your body, the worse it gets, the manicness. I
Really.
operate at almost such a high rate now since I've cut out a majority of vices and I've tried cutting out a majority of processed food. And I ingest a lot of steak and eggs, high protein content, which is
Which
actually,
I'm starting to do. I'm on a protein diet right now.
yeah, so it's good for your brain because a lot of people don't think of your brain as a muscle and they don't think of thinking as working out.
But it is.
It is. If like an intellectual conversation that gets you to genuinely think about the things that you're hearing causes something inside your brain and neurons to fire that wouldn't normally fire if you're just consuming information.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does make sense.
Yeah. So, like, this is the downside to TikTok. If you're mindlessly scrolling 60-second videos all the time, 24/7, you will progressively get dumber. It doesn't matter if you're learning something or not.
Right.
How long are you actually thinking about the information before you're consuming new
Do it.
information that had nothing to do with the previous information?
That totally makes sense.
Yeah. It's learning to be a better learner is something that I've been trying to do for the past year because I've been a horrible partner to some degree. I know that. I know that.
I know that sound.
Somebody's mad. Somebody's mad. It's okay. I got twins.
Oh
So
wow. I
yeah.
got a 4-year-old, so
Yeah, mine are about to be 4. Dude, they are probably smarter than I
mine
am. And
too.
what's crazy is like when you think of kind of like what I was saying with ADHD, I think the world has ADHD wrong. I think they've described ADHD as a personality and a behavioral mental disorder, which is why ADD, attention deficit disorder. I don't have an attention disorder. Do
Right.
you?
No, I was always good at school. My
Yeah,
little brother did though,
yeah.
but he
Well,
was actually told he had ADHD,
mhm.
but he was the one who was bad in school, couldn't focus on
Well, he
shit.
probably had an attention deficit to some degree because whatever he was learning didn't interest him.
Right. He
Right.
didn't care.
So, I'm not sure what he does now, but did that get worse or better for him?
He got better, but he started, smoking marijuana and stuff to sit down and focus to
Yep.
do his homework
Yeah, to
and
calm down, to make sure. So back to that thousand fucking ideas that are one sentence long and you never do anything with them. That's a lot of what we are contending with regularly, which leads to procrastination because if you have all these ideas and then you never do anything with them. So again, having something that mellows that manicness that's going on in there. I don't know about you, but do you feel like your brain is just like a storm almost? Like to some degree, like if you don't have something consuming your attention, you have too much going on here.
yes, and that's in my everyday lifestyle. And like anxiety for a chance. I never have anxiety as long as I'm doing something.
But the moment you're not, you do.
But yeah, but the
Oh
moment I
man.
sit down and I relax, it's over with, bro. I start overthinking like a mofo. And
Writing will help. I'm sure you've noticed. So like
yeah,
once you start to focus on taking those ideas and putting them to paper or even focus hyper focusing it into poetry, for example, like when you were younger, you said you
yep.
that probably helped a lot
It helped
because
a lot with my
a
trauma that I was going through and everything in my childhood. Like writing, like going to bed and start writing, that was my way of escaping the world,
right, and
you
shutting
know?
down all of those thoughts that which you were still using if you think about it because like you're just taking those thoughts and you're putting down to paper and you're aggressively thinking about how you're writing them.
Hmm.
So if anything, you're doing the same thing. It's just you're being productive with it.
And
And
that was
our
before we
issue
had TikTok to go on to
to be
distract my mind, you
right, which
know?
is a bad thing. Stop doing that.
Well, I don't really do that,
Well, no,
but
no, I'm not saying the TikTok thing. I'm saying when you sit down, right, and you feel that anxiety welling up, start asking yourself questions. Kind of like, do you utilize ChatGPT or AI chatbots?
I don't fuck with AI, bro. I ain't
Um,
gonna lie to you.
well, that's fine. So do you constantly have people to bounce ideas off of?
I talk to myself a lot.
So you are utilizing AI. So if you're talking, does that talking out loud and verbalizing it keep the anxiety away?
Yes.
Oh, well then do
And
that. You're
I already do what
yeah,
you're
you're
saying.
yeah.
Like I do have conversations with myself.
Oh yeah, then
And
just keep going with that.
like when you were saying my brain's like a storm, it
Mm-hmm.
is, but I also feel like I call 'em my demons and my angels because
Okay.
but I literally got voices in my head that's
Yeah.
not even me. And like I'll have conversations with myself, like call me crazy or whatever, but
Yeah.
I straight up talk to myself. It might not be verbally out loud because I don't really do that,
I like that you
but
bring that up.
I do talk to myself to figure out what I'm going through and why I'm going through.
Yep.
And when I was homeless and reflecting on my past life and all that, that's
Uh,
when I really found that in myself. Where I found that really helps me and it taught me a lot about myself because those voices in my head were the ones telling me this is why you did it, this is why you shouldn't do it, this is what you need to do. And like it didn't even feel like it was me
did
talking.
ignoring the bad voices, or well, let me rephrase that. Did ignoring the thing telling you you should do this, um, like affect your life negatively? Like imagine, just for a quick example, you know there's a pile of laundry that needs to be done. So that's the good thing. You need to do the good thing. You need to
Right.
do the chore because otherwise the chore is never going to get done. The chore never getting done is a negative part. So the what you were saying, the angel and the demon, but we're breaking this down into real basic everyday life. If you think of every single thing in your life as a good or a bad or an angel and a demon, when you are ignoring things in your life that you don't think could technically be impacting you negatively, they could be compiling and you don't even realize it.
Oh yeah, big
Right.
facts. Like that
Yeah.
is so true. Like that is in my everyday life. You
Right.
know, there's been times I've called off of work
Mm-hmm.
because, my demons are the ones saying, don't go to work, go back to sleep. Like, you don't want to go
Oh.
to work today.
So
But
you
then I got my angel telling me,
like
go to
do
work, get
right,
your ass up. So
right.
then
You're
at
gonna
the end of
lose
the
out
day,
on $200 if you
yeah.
don't show up for work today. That's $200 out your
So
pocket.
they're battling, I'm laying in bed for 10 minutes and
Mm-hmm.
these voices will straight up be battling in my head. And then, I usually go with the angel. Back in the day when I was legit and not very
You ever
mature, I would go with the demons a lot. But
right? You ever heard the phrase a lot of Christians peddle this that God lives in all of us,
Yes.
like inside of all of us.
Yes.
That are the so uh my theory is that the good voice inside of you is obviously the metaphor of the angel on your shoulder or God.
Right.
There are multiple voices inside of you. Usually there's only two. A lot of people like to sugarcoat it and act like they've divvied out all of these different voices, which I guess maybe could work because like if you have like a symphony of voices,
So that's why I use plural with
right,
angels and demons,
right,
because I am one that there's different voices,
right,
but it's the same concept. There's the negative voices, there's the positive voices,
right,
and being able to control myself
mm-hmm.
to who to listen to
Right.
is
That's the impulse.
my maturity that I've grown into.
100. Hey, man, you give me chills like multiple times in this fucking podcast. What is just to kind of like we're getting real deep there. We want to I want to reel it back before like I don't know, man. Like these are the kinds of things that make me feel I don't even want to say the word emotional, but they give me a feeling inside of me like when I resonate in a conversation with somebody to such a large degree. And again, maybe I'm not doing a good job at letting you go further and just keep
No,
letting
you're
you
good.
talk. But, and maybe I didn't do it well enough with other people, but it's interesting that when you go off on, I use tangent as a good thing. So when I say tangent, it doesn't usually mean a bad thing. Usually tangent means you're on subject so much that you may be referencing other things. I don't know. Maybe I describe it incorrectly. But for the most part, it seems like
Oh, hold
yeah,
on.
I don't know what that is. It caught me off guard. It popped up.
It's because I haven't tested
And we just reset those, I believe. So, I mean, seems how you're.
So you got 8 minutes. I can reset the timer.
I mean, we don't have to reset the timer. I just want to make sure that maybe something didn't happen or the fucking they fucking died somehow or whatever. But now I lost my train of thought. Uh, Intellectual conversations where I can feel like I actually relate to somebody that thinks similarly to me is very interesting, especially when those things just, I guess, come out organically and authentically, and it's not like I'm prying my own thought process out of you through guiding you down a pathway of thinking.
Right.
Because some people do actually try to do that, and I've been told multiple times that it seems like I do that. So, just for clarification, if it seems like I'm trying to say something like it's more of a I'm following a pathway and I'm trying to lead you down that path, but you don't have to be on that path. If you
Right.
see what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
we've there's been a couple of things like where obviously what you're saying, what I'm saying, it seems to be the exact same thing, but it's almost like we're on parallel paths because we may describe things differently, but they almost seem identical.
But they flow together.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Oh, now I remember what I was doing because before we did that. What's your favorite style of music? It doesn't have to necessarily be a genre. Um,
Um, for like my personal to listen to.
yeah, like on yeah, a very personal level.
Um, to be honest, country music.
Okay,
Like,
I can see that.
when I ride in the car, if it's just me,
Mhm.
9 out of 10 times it's country music.
Okay,
Or if I'm like super excited to go do something, that's when I'll bring my hip hop, my rap,
okay.
and you know, to be honest, it's a lot of like the gangster rap that
Mm-hmm.
really gets me going.
Yep,
That's
yep.
my shit, like some NBA YoungBoy.
Yeah, get you hyped.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my
makes you
shit.
want
You
to
know what I
fuck shit
mean?
up. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I get it.
that's my shit. But on a personal level, I relate a lot to some country music. Like I could sit down because those are the stories that
It's mostly happy too.
it's like the happy stories that you just want to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah. I ain't never heard a Thomas Rhett song I didn't like.
Right. Like there's so many
The
country
way the
songs that you
dude
just
feels about his wife is just phenomenal. And how many people can make a career about writing songs about their
it's
wife?
like the little white
Like
picket
and
fence life.
rappers can't do that. You know how I know? Chance the Rapper did it, ruined his entire career.
Yep. So the thing with country music is like the white picket fence lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want.
Right.
You know what I mean? It'd be nice to be able to afford a mansion, but will I ever buy a mansion? Fuck no. The only way I'm gonna buy a mansion is if I'm
If it's
investing in a
profitable.
property and making money on it.
Exactly, if it's profitable.
I'm
Right.
not gonna go live in a as a single family in a mansion. The only
Right.
way I'll have a mansion is if it's a YouTube house or
Right.
I'm reselling it because I
Right,
own
or like
real estate
it's doubling up as a venue for
or a
events. Yeah,
venue.
so people are paying you, and you have like a whole ballroom that you rent out to people.
The lifestyle I want, like in all reality, I want a woman that loves me. I want my children. I want a family because I didn't have that growing up. You know, I didn't have no family ever. And then today, I don't have no family. So all I really want is a family, and country music really brings out that lifestyle that I want.
Oh
So
yeah.
when I personally want to listen to something that's gonna touch my heart, it's gonna be some good old country music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's gonna
I felt it in your was it country dancing? Isn't that the yeah?
Yeah, I'm
I
about to
felt it.
redo that. Okay, when I go to Nick's house or Nick's studio,
We'll work on it.
Dreams, I'm gonna bring back some country shit because it'd be dope, bro. Like it's fun being a rapper, and rap's super easy. Like I can hop in the booth and freestyle and make a rap song in 30 minutes.
Yep.
Super easy.
Yeah.
Do I want to truly be a rapper? No. If I could sing, I'd be a Justin Bieber pop star.
I think overall, people need to. I like that the word artist
Right, and that's
is
what I like to.
because artist it encompasses anybody who's passionate about the thing that they're doing,
Yes.
right? So like for some people, building businesses might be their art.
Yeah.
That's where they find their bread and butter. That's what genuinely fills them with like joy or whatever. Being able to like especially like if you're a rich guy, right? And you don't have a lot going on, if you are capable of taking $1 million and investing that into somebody that you believe in, and then they're able to take that $1 million and make a profitable business and live their dream,
Right.
like that's what like rich people actually do.
Yeah.
And I think there's like this weird like some rich people don't, obviously some rich people are selfish
Yeah.
about making money and they'll do something like that in a selfish manner, but there are rich people out there that do things like that, that will offer venture capital to a business that may or may not ever make it. You
Right.
know what I mean? Um, and like that's something that I actually like would really fucking love to do. If I was rich, I'd probably give away way too much money and never see a return on that.
Oh yeah.
But if I know that that person didn't squander the money and they never have to work for anybody else in their life, oh
That would
that's gonna skyrocket how I feel about myself.
that's
And
my
all I had to do is what, hand somebody some fucking money? Who cares about
that's
money?
literally my goal in life is to have enough money to where I can impact other people's lives because right now money's the problem.
Right.
Money's the problem with everything in my life.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I can't afford studio time. I can't afford to have a nice car. I can't even fucking afford insurance on my car. You know what I'm saying? So money's a problem and I fucking hate it because the
Yep.
world revolves around money and it's fuck money for real. But if I
Um.
ever make enough
Well,
money to impact somebody's life,
you ever seen the movie
that's
Time?
gonna fulfill me. I have not.
It's a movie with Justin Timberlake and what, I can't remember the co-actress or whatever her name is.
You got 1 minute on this timer.
Oh yeah, we might as well move right. Bro, this is just like flowing, my man. Flowing. So the movie In Time is pretty much a consensus on if you had an unlimited amount of time and time was money and money was time, and if you have time, you don't actually die. What would you do with it? It's actually a pretty like if you think about the movie intellectually while you watch it. And I actually never did when I watched it, but I've seen it like 30 or 40 times. But in the midst of learning that the entire world operates on stories and you can utilize that to almost your own advantage to some degree. Like right now, you, for example, are on a hero's journey. Whether or not you accept it or not, you are. That
Right.
is every artist's journey.
Yeah.
Everyone. Like you can, yeah, we all run a different path and we may cross paths from time to time, but we're all on a hero's journey because otherwise the journey is what? Being
Pointless.
is what being a peasant in some regard. Like I don't mean to like say like that in a rude way to like normal people who work normal jobs because they provide value to the world.
They
Like
do.
I'm a normal person who works a normal job too.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that doesn't change the fact that like I'm Merlin. I'm
Right.
not I'm not for example like King Arthur who was born into royalty.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? I can't be the peasant either that lives under King Arthur, no matter how much he may be an awesome, amazing king. No, I should be, in my opinion, same with you. You're Merlin, for example. The story of Merlin is the hero's journey from both King Arthur's perspective as well as Merlin's.
Okay.
And Merlin is a magician.
Hmm.
Do you know the story of Merlin?
I do not.
Camelot. You know the story of Camelot, right? King Arthur?
I don't.
Oh, really? Oh,
I'm
interesting.
very. That's like I'm
Well,
very unintelligent on that type of things.
oh, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it unintelligent, not necessarily knowing something.
Right.
If you don't know something and you're always willing to learn, doesn't that
I'm
make you
very.
intelligent?
Yeah. I mean, I'm very willing to learn,
Yeah.
but same with like religion.
Uh-huh.
I'm not. That's why going to church. I never really called myself religious until like I still don't really because I don't know and I've never been taught. So right now I'm really just trying to learn.
Do you
But
read?
I read?
Yeah.
I haven't read a book since high school.
Would you listen to audiobooks?
Probably not.
I would definitely shift that. The only reason I say that is because if you are an avid learner and you do like learning new things, maybe you're one of those people who likes only learning from somebody that they're directly interacting with.
I'm a very hands-on learner.
Right.
So
What's more hands-on than reading a book?
I'll fall asleep because
Oh, fair, fair.
you know what I mean
Yeah,
like
fair.
I can't I try, you know what I mean
What?
I've tried to read a book,
Right.
but I'd rather sit down with somebody who read that book and then they tell me about that book
Okay,
because
fair. What about
I'm gonna
like so
learn
again
about
like audiobook?
that's still I'm not because while I'm listening to
Mm-hmm.
audio, my brain's also gonna be thinking of this and this and this and
Yeah,
this.
I do struggle with that. Sometimes I have to re-listen to things.
Like me in school, for instance,
Yeah,
you know, I never paid attention, but I always passed that test. You know what I'm
probably
saying?
because you pick up on it so quickly that it was unnecessary to engage with whatever the teaching was happening.
Right.
This is another reason why, excuse me, certain people don't do well in that kind of learning environment because they're telling you what you need to learn. You're not learning what you want to learn.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how many times have you used algebra recently?
Never.
Very rarely does algebra ever come up in an equation. And usually it's grocery shopping is about the only time you can consider things an algebraic
I,
equation these days.
I've used math a lot with work because I do a lot of blue collar work.
Right.
So construction wise, you
Okay.
use math every day in
Right.
construction. But algebra,
Right.
needing to find x, fuck,
Right. So again, like I
x is
said, I
always
think the
there.
most standard thing that you could base algebra on is if you, as you're shopping, you're doing all of this stuff. And again, that's not even necessarily algebra. The only reason it is algebra is because A and B are different, and they have different prices. So that's the only
Right,
reason.
but
So
it's really just
it's really just
continuous
addition.
addition.
Exactly. So technically, it's not, but it is. If
Yeah.
you think, but again, I think people like to overcomplicate things that are super simple. And what happens with guys like us potentially is given the right teacher, you pick up on something super quickly, but then that teacher themselves might think that you're a slacker until all of a sudden you pass the test and have the highest grade in the class and
Right.
you never did any of the homework. And they're like, you're a cheater. And it's like, no, I understood you 6 weeks ago and you kept teaching.
I just didn't care.
Right, right.
I didn't care to
Exactly.
keep listening.
I didn't need to keep listening. I already knew what you were talking
Yeah, like
about.
at school, I had all the girls or like girlfriends or whatever.
Yep.
They did all my homework for me. I barely ever did my homework. but I always pass the test.
Yeah, I didn't.
Like,
I wasn't a fan of homework because I think it is intrusive to require somebody to do something outside of the place that they should be doing. This is why like study hour or study hall in schools now makes fucking so much sense to me.
yeah, I
That's
would.
where you go to fucking do your homework and you're studying.
Yeah, that's purpose spot or the what's that class they call it? Like your homeroom class.
Yeah, yeah. I think
They
they
give you
started
like
those
that
when I
one
was in
hour
school.
where you're in a classroom, but it's not for a specific subject.
Right,
That we had one, I think it was only 30 minutes long, but that's where I would do my homework.
right,
But in
exactly.
reality, I was passing my homework around.
Right.
But you know,
Don't tell my high school teachers that. Don't tell them
they
that.
already know. But like
So, that's interesting because I felt the exact same way about school. Even though I related more to the teachers in school though.
yeah, if I like the teacher, if I like them as a person,
Right,
I would pay attention.
right.
But if I didn't like them as a person or they
Hmm.
didn't give that energy
Or that
that I can
respect to you as a student.
right, that I
Yeah.
connected with,
Hmm.
those are the ones I was sleeping during class or playing on my phone or talking
Right, and
to
they think that you're disrespectful, even though they
right.
never gave you the initial respect.
That's why, to be honest, that's why I go to church every Sunday. I don't miss because the pastor I got, for some the energy that dude brings on the stage,
Yeah,
I'm locked the fuck in
yeah,
all like the whole church. When
you're
I
learning.
tried going to church with my pawpaw growing up, like I probably went maybe 20 times my whole life before this last couple months.
Hmm.
I never cared. I would sleep or just not pay attention or
Yeah, I
be
think
thinking about 20 other things. I
as a
really relate to the human more than the topic
okay,
of the story they're trying to present, you know?
right. This is why I think that we who wrestle with God, man, if you can get past your attention
I'm a I'll try, but
issue,
like I said, it's the
um,
attention.
it really is hard. But I think that when you, I guess, look at it this way, like imagine it like you're leveling up, like it's your Mario mushroom.
I guess I haven't
You
tried
hate,
reading
well,
though
I hate reading.
in years.
I hate reading. It will put me to sleep,
Okay.
especially if I'm like books by people I enjoy listening to them talk. I start reading one and I'm like, fuck this. Is there an audiobook where they are reading it in their own voice?
Right.
I'll look it up and I'm like, fucking buying this bitch. And I already own their physical copy.
So you
So
follow
I bought
along?
it twice.
Do you follow along? Or do
I
you
want
just
to with this particular book, Day Trading Attention, which I have not revisited because I think I pretty much got the consensus of everything that's in that book, and I want to buckle down and actually like study the book. So yes, that's what I want to do with that particular book.
I feel like I feel like if I had the physical copy and I had someone in the audio,
Oh, that's a good idea.
that might be something that could break my
Double hyper focus. So like it's almost like you're taking the school approach where you have the teacher reading to you, but you're following
but
along
I'm
in the book.
following along.
Yeah.
That might be the thing that could break my not
That's actually
caring.
a learning process. Hear it, say it, write it.
Right.
Minus,
And then
obviously, don't
also,
write the thing, and you
but
would be
taking the
reading and
notes
hearing.
is
Oh yeah, that's
huge.
a good one too.
So on a book like The Wrestling with God,
Yeah, if something really sticks out to you.
that's something that like you're telling me that's gonna impact my life. I would probably take notes over it, you know?
Well, I say that because of potentially how you just said that when you were a child and they were teaching you about Christianity, none of it was really clicking enough to get you engaged. But obviously, that's not the case right now.
No.
Right. So maybe uh, in We Who Wrestle with God, the interpretations of this, the guy who wrote that book is a behavioral psychologist. So he's studied human behavior,
Okay.
children and grown-ups for years. And he interprets the stories in the Bible from that perspective.
And that's
Like,
what this pastor does at this church.
yeah.
He's what he's preaching, he's going off the story in the Bible, but he brings real life modern day
Mm-hmm.
storylines to his preaching. And I
Okay,
think that's
that's
why it's
interesting. Yeah,
engaging to me. Because, like, the other day he was going on a story, he brought Facebook into it.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook ain't in the fucking Bible.
It is
Well,
Tower of Babel. The internet is the modern day Tower of Babel. Tons of people saying a whole lot of shit. Nobody understands each other.
mm,
That's the story of the Tower of Babel.
okay.
Yeah. So
Well,
he's on the right track.
but that's what he does. He'll bring your modern day lifestyle
Make it biblical.
and make it biblical and preach it, and then he'll keep going back to the
Mention what happened in California and Sodom and Gomorrah to him and see if he draws the correlation there. So the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah to me is LA.
the wildfires.
And they burned. Do you know what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah?
I don't.
It fucking burned, bro. And needed to be. I don't even think they actually rebuilt it in the stories of the Bible. I don't know exactly. I'm not a Bible historian.
Right.
But Sodom and Gomorrah, this is why sodomy exists. Do you know what sodomy is?
Mm-mm.
I'm pretty sure it means butt sex. I'm not trying to get you like banned. Pretty sure that's what it means. That's why when you sodomize, like they call, like if somebody molests a young boy, there's a thing called sodomy in the list of charges if he did that. It comes from that term, Sodom and Gomorrah, which is a town that was all about hedonism. And hedonism is, I'm going to do me because it makes me happy. Damn the consequences.
Okay.
So listening to that devil inside of you all the time, no matter what. So like that would have been full of like rape and
all the
drugs
bullshit.
and feed me my grapes and I'm 300 pounds and just all sorts of right. And that's a lot of what's going on out in California these days. Is a whole lot of that's where people go to chase their dreams and be hedonists.
Right.
And it's really weird when you draw a lot of biblical correlations, and like you even said, like I'm not a religious person, and hearing Bible stories and then relating those Bible stories to modern day
Opens your mind like a mofo.
well, when you start drawing, I know correlation doesn't mean causation, but Jesus freaking Christ, man, the internet is a very solid grounds for a modern day Tower of Babel, and LA is the solid grounds for a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, and that shit just burned. Maybe not LA specifically, but California in general.
Right.
That didn't happen anywhere else. Well, what did they do? They stopped caring about things that they should have cared about.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Let's shut the water off.
Right. Well, we care about this fish. Like, when in reality, God gave the world to us, according to Christianity, and then there's people fighting that, which is so weird because how do you fight the modern day fact that we took over the entire planet? Except for what? Like the North Pole and the South Pole? And even then, like, let's be real. Who really wants to take those places over?
Right. And we still got humans up there.
Exactly. Yeah. To some degree, exactly. We've colonized the entire planet, and we're well on our way to doing it to another.
Yeah, I was gonna say we almost in space.
We going to Mars. Well, we're in space. We're just not on another planet right now.
Right.
Physically as humans, but that is 15 years away.
That's
we
in our
will
near
have
future.
a colony.
Yeah.
iRobot's in the new future too. If you didn't know that.
Look at Japan.
Yeah.
They got robots and McDonald's out there.
Humanoid robots are a thing, bro. So like, this is why artists will reap the rewards of the normalization of not working a labor job.
Right.
That's going to be a hard freaking pill to swallow for people whose entire life is working a labor job. And again, I'm not saying anything negative about people. I don't say that to be like, I'm a labor employee myself, but
Me too.
it's something that is in the realm of possibility right now when you can be completely outsourced by a robot that is a million times smarter than you are at this point in time, and you will never know everything that robot knows, and it looks like you.
Hell, we ain't even gotta drive no more.
Yeah. Yep.
We got cars that drive
and they're
themselves.
safer.
And
they're
they're
a million
safer.
times safer. There will be there's a city in a different country, I can't remember which one it is, but it will not allow you to, it's all public transportation through cyber cabs.
No shit.
Yep. Zero human driver.
There ain't never gonna be a car accident because all the cars are gonna read off each other.
Exactly.
It's gonna work like a computer
100%.
in the real life.
Well, it's gonna work like a train that doesn't have tracks, which is amazing. And here's another thing: when you bring trains into it, right? So I call a car, it picks me up at my house. That car then drives onto a train, and now we're going 300 miles an hour, and I'm in fucking London
in less than 2 hours.
Exactly, from America, because the tunnel goes under the ocean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably the safest
Our
way
kids
to
are
travel.
gonna be the ones going through all this.
Futuristic cities are gonna be insane, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
save
a
lives
weird
too.
dystopian utopia because so many people are just gonna be so happy, and they're gonna be the complete opposite of that spectrum as well, because there'll be so many people that live off of their universal basic income, because there's no way you legalize robots without profit sharing with regular citizens.
Right.
You know, if I can outsource you for $20,000 and now all of a sudden I never have to pay an employee to do that job ever again, that's sort of bad for the economy.
Yeah.
So, but super good for the company, because they get a standard employee that can do every single job better than a human. So that's great for them, sure. But what about all the people that would benefit from having that job that just lost out on that job? This is why UBI will become a thing. But imagine what happens when you're paid $4,000 a month to do whatever you want.
Can't wait.
Right, you can't wait, but imagine somebody who has zero ambition, zero drive, and they consume their entire day with potato chips and television and the couch.
Right. Because
all
they know is going to labor work.
Exactly, because they've never been given the time. Like, we're gonna end up with a skyrocket in mental disorders of some sort, I think, because people will realize how crazy they are the moment they don't have a job to preoccupy their time.
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't want to work, so they don't ever find their true passion. And most people don't learn or read or do anything like that of the sort to find that passion. Certain people, you know, ourselves, are in some regard lucky, because at a certain, like for us example, I think we would not be rappers or even musicians if we never did poetry when we were younger.
Right.
When we heard an instrumental, we're like, oh.
Yeah, we got the little groove to it.
Yeah, when you know a haiku or how to write a poem, there's rhythm to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's rhythm to a fucking Dr. Seuss book. This is why you can take a hip-hop instrumental and rap a Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what, and like, we'll go back to music.
Yeah.
When I used to like write music before I even, started going, like now I don't write music. I just hop in the booth and I say, I
freestyle write.
Freestyle write. I don't technically freestyle it and then save it, and that's what it is. Right. But I'll freestyle in the booth, and if I like it, I'll save it.
And then you move on to the next
and then I'll do 4 bars worth, and then I'll go back and do all 4 together. So that's my good sounding part.
That's a neat process. That's once you kind of have the memorization there, you re-deliver.
Yeah. So that's how I write now. But
well, you'll work really well with Nick in the studio, because he sort of does that. He does write it as he's doing it, and then he hits it in the booth.
Well, that's what I do also if I'm struggling to like
the syllables
to remember
syllable. Oh yeah, and
to remember
memorization too.
I'll freestyle it, but then after I got the 4, I'll write the 4 bars down. Well, I'll type it on my phone,
right?
And then I'll go in and then I'll deliver it how I want to,
Yeah.
So that's like the only kind of writing I do. But beforehand, I would write full songs, and it would have that rhythm in it, or whatever you said, rhythm to it.
Yeah, a little bounce.
Basically, my song that I wrote, even though I didn't write it to a beat, I always find a beat that fits that.
So that's how you know, to some degree, whether or not you know the full scope of what you were doing when you're writing, right? So, like you're saying, you can write a whole song, no instrumental, and find an instrumental that works.
Within 5 minutes, I'll find an instrumental that matches
it. Listening, and then you're like kind of like spitting the bars with the flow that you already had. That's what tells you that you have a certain level of understanding of music, whether or not you have a fundamental understanding. You know what I mean, like a book smarts understanding.
Right.
I don't know if like you do things
I am
like
not
that.
book smart.
Well, I don't mean like, I meant like, I don't know if you go out of your way to study hip hop and its culture overall and what it's about.
I
So,
do know because I've grew up in a hip hop culture.
okay, maybe I should refer to the lyricism of hip hop itself. So you obviously have an understanding of how to do that based on your knowledge of hearing it and learning it. The fundamentals would be, do you know what you're actually doing, or does it just come sort of naturally?
Naturally.
Because exactly. So this is where Nick is very similar to you. He knows all of his audio his audio engineering from self-taught doing.
And that's how I've been. And I'm not where Dreams is at whatsoever.
Yeah.
But everything that I've learned, I taught myself.
Right, you just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just doing, you're just tweaking, you're learning what works, what sounds good, what doesn't,
And I
and then you
do
settle on whatever you think is good for you.
I do
Right?
trial and error.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of how I was doing it for a while, and then I realized I'm more. At a certain point, I shifted the way my brain thinks to being. I want to know precisely what it is I'm doing, down to the words that I say. So, for example, a lot of people say that they don't tell lies, but then they say things that they didn't make up. So, have you ever noticed that you are pretty much a culmination of all of the things that you've learned?
Right.
And you will reiterate that stuff, but you don't do it in your own words. You do it in the same words that you learned.
Right.
So, like the phrase, it is what it is. That's something almost everybody in the world knows. It's actually my favorite saying in the entire planet because it encompasses the entire planet and everything in existence. This microphone, it is what it is. The piece of metal on the microphone, it is what it is.
Is that why your
You
rapper
standing
name
there.
is As Is?
To some degree, sort of. There's a lot more into it there, and it used to be Reaper.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was Reaper the rapper, but it was also Reaper the Rap Lord promoter, which is actually still what I do. This is
'Cause
the
you're
fundamental of creating the marketing engine, because that's what RubyCloud Entertainment actually really is. It's a marketing engine that none of us have. Because of somebody who inspired me, I shifted actually what RubyCloud Entertainment is.
Okay.
That's what it's meant to be. We are meant to create a fan base to hopefully change other people's lives once we've established it.
Okay.
And the more people I can bring into that fold as far as artists and other people, just being under the umbrella. Not saying like everybody works for me, it's just being on board with the idea.
Right.
Mainly with like RubyCloud Radio, for example. That is the nonprofit of RubyCloud Entertainment.
Because they get their marketing through the radio aspect of it.
Not
As an
necessarily,
artist.
but yes, I guess in some regard, yeah, RubyCloud Radio being affiliated with RubyCloud Entertainment brings marketing to RubyCloud Entertainment. But the idea behind RubyCloud Radio is I hate that people pay to be on playlists. Let me rephrase that. I don't hate that people pay to be on playlists. I hate that people charge for people to be put on playlists.
You hate that you have to.
It's
pay.
illegal, fundamentally. You can't pay a radio to play your music. Did you know that?
Yes, but now with Spotify and all
So
this bullshit.
this is the issue is if it's an exploit, it's not meant to be done, right? So
Right.
paying, so the reason the federal government stepped in with radio stations is because if I'm rich and I can pay the radio stations to play my artist music, I will fundamentally make more money off of that music in the end.
Yeah.
So it's skeevy business practice. If I pay $1 million to these radio stations that are going to play my music, which then in turn leads to album sales,
Well,
inadvertently you're doing something that is almost manipulating the market.
but they still do that to this day.
Oh, yeah, but they do it in different ways. So, for example, I pay you to interview my artists for the year. you're interviewing. I pay your company $1 million a year to interview all my artists
That's
for my record.
that's as a label perspective though.
Right.
You gotta think, even as an independent artist,
Mm-hmm.
we are considered starving artists because we don't got the money to pay for the marketing.
Right.
But somebody like Lil Mabu,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, he had family money who could pay for his marketing.
Isn't that the drill artist that went to like Harvard?
Yeah, he was in college.
Yeah,
He's a
was it
college
Harvard?
kid.
I know it was a prestigious school to
Yeah.
go to.
And he's doing drill music.
Yep.
You know, not even a culture he grew up in.
Yeah,
But
a lot of people
why
don't
did
know.
he blow up so fast? Because he
Marketing.
had the money. He had the marketing
Yeah,
money. He had the studio time money.
But he also had good music.
It was good.
People liked it.
Don't get me wrong, it's
Yeah.
good. And I'm not hating on him.
No,
because
no.
if
But,
I had the money,
I don't even like his music. I wasn't saying his music. I don't like most drill music because I don't relate to it. And to be honest, I think rapping about killing people is a detriment on society.
right. But there's a
speak your
fan
truth,
base.
people. I don't mean that in a negative way. If you are speaking your truth, like for example, I like Montana 300. He pretty much only makes drill music. He does have like singy stuff and this, that, and the other thing, but majority of his music is drill music.
Or Vaughn. King Vaughn.
Yeah,
he lived that lifestyle.
He's a hard one for me. I know a lot of people resonated with him, and I don't mean no hate, but I never listened to any of his music because I know for a fact that he's a murderer.
Right. But
Right.
he did what he said.
Yeah, fair
You know
enough.
what I'm saying?
Mad respect, but again, I'm not one of those people that can separate artist and artist to such a degree. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like Slim Jesus, I won't listen to his music, but I respect him. Why can't I listen to his music? First of all, I'm not a huge drill fan. So if you're making drill music overall, it's going to be very hard to impress me if what you're saying is not exceptional.
Right.
If it sounds like somebody else explicitly, it's going to be very hard to impress me with drill music because I've heard a bunch.
Yeah.
I've heard the best of the best make it.
Everywhere I go, right, for show wise, like I went down to Osceola this past Friday, down to a local bar down there. And I was trying to set up a show there to play in their bar. Well, their security guard came up and showed me his homeboy. He's like, yo, listen to my homeboy. He's so fire. I listened to it for about 30 seconds. I handed the phone back. He's like, what, you ain't fuck with it? I was like, it's the same shit.
Pause. At the same shit spot.
Blah, 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 blah. What's up, chat? We've been flowing tonight. This is good.
Well, it's a good thing that I got this pointed at both of us because I guess at some point maybe this one, the battery died.
Did you have it plugged in?
This?
Yeah.
I don't actually have a power cord, but that's a neat idea. Yep, change battery pack. I have a secondary battery, so that's not necessarily the issue. This is another reason for the 30-minute things because I highly doubt we missed a bunch, and I intentionally pointed this at both of us so that way.
Oh.
Where did I set that?
You want to hop in on a segment?
Yeah, you're more than welcome to join us if you'd like.
Man, we might have to turn this into 2 episodes.
Probably not, man. You gotta roast them out, man. I don't care how long the podcast is. It's not very specific. I'm not even sure what time it is. I assume it's getting a little late. But again, like I said, if the conversation's flowing and whatnot, all we have to really do as far as my format is I like to ask all the personal questions and that I came up with explicitly for you.
Let me get through that first before you hop over on this side. So we haven't gone through all the personal. We've been flowing, bro. Him and I got a lot in common.
I'm gonna reset this.
No cap.
Again, I'll readjust this towards.
Josh is still on his mind.
You just want me to? Here, we'll just go like this because everybody's seen me for a while, so. Trying to make sure your frames are all jacked up. Oh.
Here.
Is that good
Just
visual or with too much at the dick?
There you go.
There we go. Now it's not setting directly in front of homie's face. See, man, y'all got me feeling like I gotta up my game, man. I've been working on merch designs and all sorts of stuff.
I could tap you in with somebody for merch if you don't want to do it yourself.
Yeah, I got so many people. Like, I'm
Scraps
gonna be
uncle.
testing out I'm talking with him about mass producing, and then I got somebody else working on privately producing pieces specifically for me, and then I can test the designs that way.
Shit, I gotta lean this one now.
Oh shit.
Is that the leanest one?
Yeah, not bad. No, I did not reset that. Don't fall on homie's TV, bro.
I got it on discount.
I would still feel like shit.
I think it's under warranty.
Fudge. Do you remember where we left off before that? You were in the middle of a freaking thought.
I did.
I asked you to pause the thought, and I even said a word, and then I forgot.
Once he walked in, I forgot it.
All right, it's fine. This is actually good because Jkinney, right? Everybody, this is Jkinney. If you'd like to, real quick, you can introduce yourself. You can kind of look over in the corner there.
Yo,
That
yo,
one's
yo.
at you. I don't think this
What's
one
up?
explicitly is at you.
I'm Jkinney. Y'all know what it is. Shit. First podcast. Come
Hey,
on.
there we go. There you go. Yeah, I'm Aaron. Nice to meet you. I was listening to you earlier on Buster Clap. So this is actually interesting because the fourth, we already kind of talked about it a little bit, and he brought it up. That's actually on the list of questions. In Buster Claps, you and Jkinney went in on someone. Can you point out a few bars, I guess each, that have a crazy amount of truth to them?
Every single one.
Every single one.
Every single one.
Every single bar.
Two favorites, like at
Two
least,
favorites.
like.
You heard the first one, right?
I'm sorry.
Did you hear the first one?
So that was the second disc.
No, the first bar of the song.
Oh yeah, I only listened to it once, so I'm not extremely familiar. But the whole time, you guys, I was just like, damn,
How
dude,
you
they
mad
do
at
not
me?
like whoever
Fucking
this
on
is,
my beat.
or they used to like him a lot, and
He was
they
our
were just
brother.
done.
He was
He
our brother.
was our brother. He lived with us back since 2018.
Okay.
I'd
with
say.
my mom. Like
Yeah.
all three of us lived in one room together for over a year.
Over a couple years.
Or a couple years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a couple years.
And you know, he was literally our brother. Like we brought him in. He was doing some mad stupid shit. He was hanging out with the wrong
The
people.
wrong people.
And you know, I've known him since high school. I went to school with him,
Right.
but we never were close in high school. And then going up to Kalamazoo when we were 18 and stuff, he actually tied
Yeah.
in with him first, and he's been my best friend since we were jits. Like
It was
what,
5th grade, 4th grade.
4th grade, I think.
Yeah.
So when we became best friends, so he tied in with Blake. So then when I came back from college, because I did a year of college,
Yeah.
Okay.
he was living with him up in Kalamazoo. And then the person that they were hanging out with, I was like, nah, we ain't doing that. You boys can come to OG's crib and kick it with me.
Yeah.
And that's where
Right, it took off after that.
that's where it started, man.
Yeah.
Between us
But-
three, but
This wasn't the first issue we had with him.
okay.
No, they're I gotta say their whole family's kind of weird. Like they all like I'm young. I say that.
Yeah, overall, like given the explanations and whatnot, it sounds like this dude sounds like he thinks really highly of you guys, but he projects his own insecurities on other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's damn near to the point.
To
you
the
know?
T.
I've been trying to study behavioral psychology because nobody's ever been able to suss out how I work and think,
Yeah.
and neither have I. And I want to know why. Well, for lack of a better way of saying it, people like me and you think. I don't know if you're potentially in that realm. Have you ever been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD?
ADHD.
Yeah, so I have a
Yeah.
theory
Him
that
and I are like the same
ADHD
person.
doesn't actually exist. It's a way to label problem kids, and make it
Mhm.
seem like it's a disorder. But I actually think it's an evolutionary trait,
Something.
because like I was explaining to him earlier, if you do things and like you get rid of like any negative substances that you may be intaking, like a lot of processed food isn't nutritionally valuable to you.
Yeah.
And the more you get rid of that, let your body work through all that stuff and ingest more natural stuff, like me, for example, a majority of my diet is steak and eggs these days because it's high in protein and it's all natural. And then I use seasonings for all sorts of other stuff.
What's up, TikTok? You like that story on Busted Claps? Go stream that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Go stream that and then come back.
We got the whole freaking breakdown there. I dig that. We're gonna have to chop that up and probably send that to you guys so you can like post it on Misfit Mafia or something.
Yeah. We literally made a podcast to break that song down,
yeah.
but that was that podcast I told you the camera died 20 minutes into.
Oh damn.
That
we had
whole
an
podcast.
incident like that before, but again, this is another reason why audio is being recorded here. So even if our camera fucks up, we still got the podcast.
Right.
And if the audio fucks up, that camera is still recording audio, and that camera's still recording audio. So it's all.
And
like,
we got the
they're
live
like backups.
too. The
Yeah.
live breaks it down, even though it's gonna be vertical.
That's true. We could also incorporate that. Like I said, if you get the full live feed and you're able to download that or whatever, maybe shoot it to me, and then maybe I'll try and clip in some of the video clips from your live thing, so that way we get the comments on the screen.
Well, the comments don't
they
say,
won't be there. Oh,
but
that
I get the
sucks.
footage from it. So
Maybe next time we screen record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we'll get all the comments.
Because
I was
for
thinking
me,
about
I'm
asking
gonna
you to
break
do
that down myself
There
to
you
do short clips, content clips of this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, absolutely, 100%. Anything we do together, unless I explicitly like ask, like, hey, hold off on posting anything,
Right.
you're more than welcome to post. I don't look at like any video footage that I take that includes other people the same way that a lot of photographers and videographers look at it. Do I think that I own it? In some regard, yes, but I also think that your face being in it leads a little bit of the intellectual property to you.
Right.
Like this podcast, for example, mutual ownership. It may go on my platform and whatnot, but as far as once I post it or whatever,
Yeah,
you can
once you post
you
it,
can screen record. You can screen, or if you want the entire raw one, so you can plug it into CapCut and let it chop up the shorts for you, because CapCut Pro does that.
I prefer if you do that, but me personally, I'm not gonna post the whole segment.
That's the part, where I would like if you took my whole the whole podcast and reposted it on your page, I'd probably be a little like, hey man, that would have been nice for you to ask me about.
I wouldn't
know
do
what I
that
mean?
anyways because my platform's TikTok, so
Right.
my shit comes in 60 seconds.
Yeah, this is another
YouTube, for instance.
This is another reason why I like working with like a bunch of different folks, because like you said, you might have a little bit more clout on TikTok, and Scrap might have a little more clout here, and like everybody coming together. I was making this reference to like I think it was Nick that I was talking about how, again, bringing religion up a little bit, things that are happening with what everybody is doing in Michigan per se, because I'm here, seems really Noah's Arky. So Noah built the ark. If you're not really familiar with the story, he wasn't inherently sure why, other than he had a feeling inside him telling that there was an impending doom, something telling him. God, obviously, for example, in the story, that's why it's there in the Bible. He built this ark, got all these animals just started gathering. They got on the ark of their own accord, according to the story, and they were saved, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's odd to me that somebody like, hey, Scrap, who's really good at Facebook, somebody like Nick, who's extremely good at audio engineering, then there's different camera crews, different production people. Everybody seems to be doing a lot of different things separately.
Yeah.
But now everybody seems to be kind of coming together in a Noah's Ark weird way. I want to build the ark.
Right. And we, as Misfit Mafia, we tried. So originally, like, obviously, I've had this name since we were a not entertainment group.
Yeah.
So when we were
Back in the
teenagers,
DBZ days.
we started
y'all know,
this
you
as
know.
a different.
It was like more like a gang.
That's
That's kind of what you're getting at.
That's the word you can put that, but not violent.
Not
Music group.
We're
not violent.
performing we were promoting nonviolence,
Yeah.
but still making money.
Yeah, I don't think having a gang is inherently a bad thing. I think
Yeah.
a
Right.
gang
It,
itself
it
has
was more.
gotten
It
a
was
negative.
more of a mafia than a gang.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we were making money,
Yeah.
not doing legal things, making money, but we didn't do the violence aspect because personally I was involved in some bullshit and I didn't want to bring that to my people
Right.
like that I knew personally. So I started this group and we still made money, blah blah blah, but not violence. But now that we're entertainment and we started all this, I tried getting so many people to hop on board, and I wasn't trying to take no money, no brands. I still wanted everybody to have their own brands, and I'm not hating on y'all because y'all probably gonna watch this and know who you're talking about. I love y'all,
Well, this is why we speak our
but
truth, but we don't explicitly say names because you can speak what's true for you, and what's true for you may not be true for the people that you're actually talking about. And what's even funnier is you being open and honest about that. Maybe they will see it and they can add clarification to whatever it is.
well,
Yeah.
we've had our
Yeah.
personal conversations
Yeah.
over this,
So
but to
speak
clarify
truthfully.
to everybody, I started this as like a record label, entertainment group, whatever, because there's so many people just this local area
Mm.
that has so much talent and potential. I feel like if everybody came together as one unit, as one
Mm.
group, even though just like us, you're Ruby Cloud Entertainment, I'm Misfit Mafia Entertainment, we combine, not necessarily combine the names, but combine like working together
So
and
I'm in
doing
the
shit
midst of doing
Collabing.
together,
this.
Yeah.
collabing,
Yeah. I'm in the midst of doing exactly what you're
everybody's
saying.
gonna grow
Yeah.
exponentially faster than me doing it by
Yeah.
myself.
So
Yeah.
for example, back to the art thing, Misfit Mafia could be a board of that art.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Like I can't build RubyCloud Entertainment into a media agency that helps artists without artists. Like
Right.
like who would I promote the idea to?
Yeah.
Exactly.
On top of it takes a marketing engine to do what we need done. The issue with I think a lot of us overall is a lot of people don't understand what that is. They a marketing engine overall is something that's going to do what it's told,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
We don't have that. We have TikTok's algorithm, we have Facebook's algorithm, and we have the few people that do support us, but they don't do what they're told because they're just supporters.
Right.
They're not employees. So the idea behind Ruby Cloud Entertainment overall is walk down a thought process with me. This is something I pitch to pretty much everybody. You have to understand investing. I would assume as artists, you understand that you yourself are a business.
Yes.
Whether you are a Misfit Mafia Entertainment, but I would also argue it's deeper than that.
Well, yeah.
Kid Jeffrey is his own business.
Yep.
He's just affiliated with Misfit Mafia Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Jkinney is his own business. The reason I say that is because you could make a T-shirt that says Jkinney on it and sell that.
Yeah.
That's a brand. That's a business. I want to build something where instead of you doing that all on your own, you can rely on other people to do certain things for you by investing in that marketing engine, for example. So, like you said, we don't necessarily need to get rid of anybody's labels. And I'm already pitching this idea heavily to the one person I really want to be one of my first board members. I'm not on the I want to do this alone. I'm on the I want to make this a legitimized LLC and I want to get everybody on board with actually pitching money so we can get business loans.
And the thing is, this is legitimized LLC. Like I
Right.
just LLC'd this a month ago.
Dope.
So like I'm already on that stage.
Yep.
Even if people
So-
don't want to hop on board, I'm gonna go.
So
that's where you know.
it's good to do that, absolutely. I'm not on the stage where it makes sense to legitimize the LLC because an LLC needs one thing to become successful: investors. If nobody's investing in your LLC will inevitably fail.
Right.
Now it's good if you're looking to do potential things as tax write-offs.
Yeah.
So if you are purchasing instrumentals, you need to save those receipts because you can write that off all on your taxes and separate your expenses. Anything that you're technically giving to the business of your personal money, I definitely write that off
Like
as a
right
business
now,
expense.
what's going into the business is
Right.
merch sales. So all my merch sales is going to my business.
Right.
But right now, I'm trying to book out venues to do shows.
Right.
All the profit from those shows are going to go into the business.
Absolutely.
Everything that I
What
do
about
from now on is going
directly back?
directly back to the
Is that the
business.
same with like for example, let's say you have a song go viral. You keeping that money?
No, it's going to
Right.
my label, my business,
There you
because
go.
my name is next. So probably once my Misfit at 5 million, I'm going to LLC my name, Kid Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
So then, boom, I'm now an employee under Misfit Mafia legally.
Mm-hmm.
Because as an owner of an LLC, you can't really pay yourself.
Yeah. That's
But him as you can, but
you have to be you have to legitimize your status in the company outside of the ownership. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's why my name will be next. In his name, he's gonna do
What is
that in a couple weeks.
what's the point of LLCing that if Misfit Mafia is a record label?
Because my name is also a business.
Right, I
myself.
get the brand and whatnot, but do you just like the idea of having two separate brands not owned under one entity? Is
Yeah,
that the
like
idea there?
yeah, because in my vision,
Uh-huh.
outside of entertainment, if you have a clothing store and you have a clothing brand,
Mhm.
your clothing store will be an LLC, your clothing brand will be an LLC.
For sure.
It's kind of like the same mindset. It's two
Yeah, it's like an
businesses.
umbrella. So your umbrella is Misfit Mafia and Kid Jeffrey's just under the umbrella but not owned by it.
Right.
Okay, so
it's
yeah.
owned by Nolan Malcolm, my name.
I was referring more to Kid Jeffrey. Does Misfit Mafia own the rights to Kid Jeffrey's music?
No.
Okay,
And my
so that's kinda
whole
what I'm getting at.
label to begin
So it's
with
more
will
Misfit
never
Mafia is
own.
just an umbrella. It's not technically a record label.
Yeah, it's not. It's an entertainment group.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not. It's not a record label because say
So it's more like a media
say if
agency
you
overall.
wanted to join Misfit Mafia,
Right.
I will never take money from you. The only way I'll take money from you is
Mhm.
if you're using my studio and you're paying studio time,
Mhm.
or you're buying a beat from me.
An exchange of value.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take royalties from you because
Right.
that's what I was trying to break down to all the guys that I
Yeah.
initially put this out to. I don't want to take money from nobody.
This is insane because you're deliberately explaining RubyCloud Entertainment.
Yeah, I don't want to take money from nobody. I want everybody to have their own label.
That part I will say is not true for me. I do want people's money, but it's not in a selfish way.
For
Here's
your
how,
values though.
So let's lean into another thing. Seeming how you have an established LLC, this is something that you should potentially be looking into doing. My consensus is, do you have $100 a month? Can you get $100 a month?
Hold it.
$25 a week?
I wet my ass with $100.
Right, exactly. Super easy. Same with you?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have access to $100,000 a month? No. Right. But between the three of us plus 997 other like-minded individuals who all have $100 a month now have access to $100,000 of play money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my business proposition. You do need money to play. You don't want to accept money from people. You kind of need to shift your perspective a little bit, because accepting money from people to be affiliated can be an avenue of investment. So, for example,
But investing in themselves at the end of the day, because like me as the name, say us two right now, he's gonna invest himself under my name, so we're gonna go do a show and it's gonna be hosted by Misfit Mafia Entertainment.
Mhm.
But if he's gonna get paid as an artist and I'm
Mhm.
gonna get paid as an artist,
Mhm.
that's two separate revenues.
Absolutely. Yep, I agree with that. The fact that you aren't owned by the umbrella, yes. So RubyCloud Entertainment works the same way. It's more like an affiliate program. Think of it like Patreon, for example. Do you know how Patreon works?
I don't.
OnlyFans.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in OnlyFans, there's a tier system based on how much you're willing to pay said creator, or OnlyFans is a hard one to explain this with because it sounds like I'm saying you're paying for content, because that's what OnlyFans is, and that's not exactly what you're paying for with investing in RubyCloud Entertainment. So, for example, OnlyFans is a good one because it works on a subscription model.
Right.
The content creator is providing value to the person that's paying them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is a platform called Grouped, which is for artists, where you can set up tier systems so people can sign up for a subscription to you.
Mm-hmm.
So again, imagine if we can all, like you said, come together and we can all invest $100 into one umbrella, not like you're investing $100 in Misfit Mafia or into just Kid Jeffrey, and then he's investing $100 into himself, and I'm investing $100 into myself. That's $300 we can invest together and have a way better project.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And
exactly. So
that's what I've been trying to get with this
you
whole
say,
thing.
I see. So when you say you weren't accepting money from people, you don't want to claim their intellectual property.
Yeah,
and
I don't want
earn
to take
revenue off of somebody else.
Yeah, so off of like entertainment, off of music,
Mhm.
you know, if you're gonna record in my studio, I'm gonna take money from you
For
to
studio time.
record.
Right.
But when
studio
you
time.
post that song and it goes viral, I'm not gonna have credits.
Right,
under
I
it.
don't want my hand out. Right, you're
Right.
expecting something in
It's
return.
still your song.
Right,
I did my part,
100%.
you know, and I'll promote it because
That's pretty much the idea
you're
behind
with my
RubyCloud
group.
Radio. So, like, if RubyCloud Radio can get to 1 million listeners, imagine the amount of people's lives we can change just by Kid Jeffrey going to a show and there's an opening act and you're like, dude, Aaron, look at this fucking guy. And I'm listening to him and I'm like, whoa. And then I check out his music and I'm like, bro, this, and I send you a particular song and I'm like, hey man, what do you think about this one? And you're like, dude, that's top tier. And he goes #1 on RubyCloud Radio that has 1 million monthly listeners.
And now
his
Jeffrey and Jkinney and Nikki No Love and everybody else that's under that playlist is getting 30,000 views, or you know what I mean? Like you're getting more views because that one went up.
Right. Well, so imagine RubyCloud Radio is the playlist that just already has the audience. Right. So, and imagine that guy you're watching has nobody fucking with him. You checked out his online profile before you sent me a video, and you're helping me out by being like, dude, check this dude out. And because you're affiliated with RubyCloud Entertainment and RubyCloud Radio, and actually I was reviewing a bunch of your music trying to get some songs on there before I fucking showed up, and I couldn't fucking do it because people weren't answering me back fast enough. So, but I was trying. Again, there's a process to getting on RubyCloud Radio that adds the credibility to it, and it doesn't seem like I'm just picking and choosing who I want to be there based on arbitrary reasons like, oh, I really like you or whatever. That could have some factor to do in it, but for the most part, it's merit based.
It's a business. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. Well, it's actually a non-profit of my business
But
because
it's a
I don't
business.
want to, even if it has 1 million monthly listeners, and me adding your song to my 1 million monthly listener thing isn't going to benefit me.
Right.
But I would, like, even if somebody walked up to me and was like, dude, I like what you're doing with RubyCloud Radio, want to buy it? No.
Right, no.
No.
No. I had the reason why.
Or, oh, fine, I'll pay you $500,000 to get my artist on your playlist.
Okay.
Like, no.
The reason why I LLC
Non-profit for a reason.
is because I had another group, like, basically want my name, right? So as soon as they said that, I was like, "Fuck you, LLC, right now. You ain't stealing shit."
Oh yeah, there's actually a quick way to copyright something.
I could have done that, but I wanted the LLC anyways.
Well, yeah, because that automatically jumps that hoop of so what's funny about it is you can almost claim things without doing certain things. So for example, RubyCloud Entertainment, if somebody wants to try and steal the name, they're more than welcome to. But I guarantee once I take them to court, I will be able to prove that I was using the name well before them. Why? Because on DistroKid, all of Officially As Is This songs and my previous artist was under copyright RubyCloud Entertainment. So when I copyrighted my music to a specific name and entity, I copyrighted that entity name.
Okay. That's good to know. So I've been doing that.
Now, for example, someone could come along and create RubyCloud Entertainment as a name elsewhere, but inevitably, when I decide to press an issue, I will own the intellectual property
Yeah.
because I came up with the idea first. It used to be RubyCloud Entertainment, and then I realized that already existed. And then it became RubyCloud Entertainment, and obviously it all stems from my love of anime.
We
Ours
used to call
be DBZ, and then we was at a party, and this guy is like, "What is it? Stand for Dragon Ball Z?" And
it was DBZ because everywhere we went, like, the boys are here. The boys.
That's a good one.
It was always the boys.
Yeah.
So it was
DBZ.
DBZ.
That's a good one.
And then at a party, they're like, "What's that?" Because we had T-shirts and everything.
Yeah,
DBZ.
the boys.
And he's like, "Dragon Ball Z."
But what's funny is that's almost really good marketing if you think about it, because it made your brand recognizable without like even, and it sparked a conversation.
Low-key.
So overall, like somebody reads Misfit Mafia Entertainment, they can almost surmise that you're probably a rap group. It sounds like a rap group name. And the only reason I say that is because to me, it sounds very similar to Murder Mitten. You ever heard of them? Yeah. So it's very similar. So Misfit Mafia, Murder Mitten. And then what's even funnier about that, I highly doubt it has anything to do with your name, but Eminem comes from Michigan.
Yeah.
So it's real funny that apparently M and M are a thing in Michigan to some huge regard. Murder Mitten, Misfit Mafia, Eminem the rapper.
The backstory behind Misfit Mafia, other than the other backstory, like the name itself, is we had a group of, at the most, we had 16 or 14 or 6, I think 14 people as like our group, and we're all fucking misfits. Like we were all just some misfit ass at the time.
Seems a little.
Not everybody was.
Seems like an interesting way to label yourself a misfit, even though you're fitting into a certain crowd.
But we all.
Did you have to find all those people separately, almost?
Well,
like come together like a little bit at a time.
We knew them all, and they all had their own storylines that they were going through. And basically, they were all misfits in their storylines.
Oh, okay. I see the idea behind the name.
Then
not the traditional misfit,
right?
Like as in you don't fit in.
You stand out.
Just your storyline labeled.
You stand out, and we all stood out in our own way. Like, and back to like gangster references, we were all different races. We had every race in our group. So like. Everything about
I would have loved you.
Everything about our group was
it's too bad that didn't exist right now, because like a few years ago, your guys' entire group would have skyrocketed if you had a rap group that had every single
like if we knew what we knew now back then.
If we would have done content and music back then,
it would have been rap.
You would know us now.
You would know us now.
Because we were doing.
Well, I'm glad you guys didn't, because we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. So we were. Shout outs to procrastination and fucking everything. That's what brought us here.
That's what brought us here, exactly. But honestly, that's where it came from. And then we just stuck with it. And shout out my dead homies, you know. It was actually his idea, our dead homie. He's the one that actually said Misfit Mafia.
Coined the term.
And that was ever since, you know.
There you go. So the name itself is almost paying homage. And then obviously the entertainment is because you guys like being entertaining.
Now, you know, we had to throw that entertainment. Some of us know we about entertainment.
Yep.
We ain't about that lifestyle no more.
I liked Misfit Mafia Entertainment the moment I heard the name. I love that. I like it. It's a neat idea for a brand, and I fuck with what you do. I liked the energy you bring anytime I see you performing and whatnot. Like what was that? I don't remember the specific song, but when I seen you performing at Harvey House, like you were getting into your lyrics so much that it's almost like you're performing your lyric, kind of like Scrap does, you know what I mean? Right. Whereas some people, they get on stage and
they freeze.
Yeah, I don't even want to say that. It's almost like they're just low energy.
Yeah, stiff.
You know what I mean?
My favorite part about music is like the entertainment part of it. Like
performing.
I want to be known as a performer. I don't care if I blow up as a rapper. I know I said earlier I'm an artist. I'm not just a rapper.
Yeah, I like the term artist because it doesn't put you in a box.
If I blow up as an artist, cool. But in reality, I want to be a performer. Like my shows is gonna be kind of like a pop show you go to. There's gonna be dancers. There's gonna be extra shit going on other than.
You got red hair, Justin Timberlake over here.
Type shit. Like I like the idea of entertainment. more than just
100.
being an artist.
Yeah.
I agree.
You know, so
Absolutely. That's the entire idea as to why it wasn't just RubyCloud.
right.
You know, it was
Ruby
about
Cloud ain't
entertainment.
nothing. It's the entertainment that's
Yeah,
gonna bring
yeah.
Ruby Cloud to be what it is.
Well, the cloud kind of like it's funny because clouds are meant to do what? To kind of like keep moving.
Yeah, keep
They
afloat,
also
yeah.
dissipate and they reform, which is crazy because RubyCloud Entertainment completely dissipated.
And then reform.
No, there are no original people other than myself.
Yeah, he said he's been
It's-
doing this, but then he quit for a minute, and like we never heard of you
Yeah,
until
2017.
now. You
Yeah.
know, when you
The
came back.
birth of the birth of RubyCloud Entertainment was in 2017. Me and my homie Marcus came up with the idea.
That would have been a perfect time to meet us.
Right.
that
Like,
would have been a great
Yeah,
time.
But yeah, back then algorithms weren't the internet.
Facts.
You had to go out of your way to like find pages and this, that, and the other thing. And pages suck because so many people want attention, but they don't give attention. Which I'm almost kind of in that boat, but I like people that seem like they genuinely want to work. You know what I mean? So like again, thank you for lighting a fire under my ass because I felt the procrastination coming in today when we were having a little bit of a conversation. I even felt it welling up in me. And then I had to remind myself, time is not an issue for a priority. And this podcast is a priority, and you were prioritizing me in some regard by just even reaching out to me. At times, I tomorrow and probably for the next couple of weeks because I would have said no to an opportunity that I shouldn't have. And when you say no to opportunities too often, too much, you end up on a road where there are no opportunities.
That's exactly right. When you're doing everything that you're driven to do, you'll find that you'll run into way more opportunities than you even expected.
Yeah, you're not holding yourself
And
back.
that, that comes with females too. Let me tell you what. The moment I get a significant other or whatever, even if it's just a little hookup, everybody, all the females want me, bro. But if I'm solo dolo and not caring about no females, I get no females. Or like, you know what I mean? If I have no female directly with me, then I get no females. But as soon as I get the one, all of them want me. It's like it's funny as shit, and it works in real life shit.
Maybe because it's like the just overall how maybe again physically attractive people find you, and then having that mate it is actually a proven fact that it does make you more desirable as a man to have a woman under your arm. It's
even if it's not
it's
like
scientific
publicly out there. You know
well,
what I mean? It's crazy how it works. Like
it's insane to some regard because, like, for example, I don't think too highly of myself as far as attractiveness. I find myself to be more like a 6. Well, the only reason I say that is because I'm obviously above average because I'm not an ugly guy, so I'm definitely not I'm not a 4. And I'm not average by any regard because I see average dudes all the time and I'm like, I'm glad I don't look like that. You know what I mean? So like realistically, I think I'm a 6. That's not me talking myself up. That's not me putting myself down. Realistically, I'm slightly above average. And I honestly think that that's more personality based than physicality based.
Oh, that's all of my attractiveness is my personality. You know, like I've always said that.
Oh shit. It's a good thing we're going to have to partially wrap up here. I'm going to shift this because now we are down to 1 can. Don't know when that cut off, which kind of sucks. Well, actually, hopefully it cut off not too far into that, but we'll figure it out.
Let's push into the rest of what you got.
Oh, we actually led into the last question. There is one last thing. So you ever seen Hot Ones?
Yeah.
So Sean Evans is a huge inspiration on me as a conversationalist in general.
Yeah.
He does a segment where he usually strips somebody's social media, finds a picture that I guess he wants to know a little bit of deeper insight. I will say don't show this picture particularly if you don't want to, because I don't know how you feel about showing your kids, and I assumed it was a picture of you and your daughter. So I just wanted to warn you about that. And this is something I want to do in every single episode of the podcast. This is why I need to be prepared when I show up. Because I wanted a little bit of context in this because the picture is adorable as hell.
I'll show him. My baby.
Yeah, you're welcome to show. I just wanted to give a little context.
What do you need?
Like feelings in the moment. Obviously, like in some regard, somebody caught an awesome moment there, in my opinion. When I was scrubbing your stuff, that one stuck out. The way that your daughter, right?
Yeah.
The way your daughter's smiling there in that scenario, and I don't even know if you knew somebody was taking a photo of you or anything like that.
I'm pretty sure this was her first month or second. It was like obviously she's probably less than 4 months old.
The date's right there on the bottom.
March, so it was her third month. December, January, February, March. Yeah, so it was her third month.
Not even 6 months. Okay.
We were taking photos of her. Like we Buster Claps' mom was our photography or whatever. So
full circle. I picked a good photo for full circle moment.
We were taking like family photos of her, you know, because we did that all the way through her first year. Every month we had a photo shoot, and this was, you know, it was just one of those moments. I was just lifting her up, and
I guess that makes a lot of sense considering when that one stuck out to me. There was a lot of photos right there of her. So I assume, okay, that makes sense.
I don't know, this girl, she changed my fucking world, man, and she saved my life for real. Like I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if this girl never came in my life. So she's everything to me. She's the reason why I live my life, you know?
You can obviously tell how such a young child feels about somebody in a moment like that, where I can't really tell what you're feeling there because you're kissing her, you're not looking at the picture or the person taking the photo or whatever. But the moment there that's captured is pretty remarkable because I don't know what you did to get the kid to smile other than just kiss her on the cheek or whatever the case it may be. But being a dad is a pretty wonderful thing in that photo. Like usually I try to make it like the photos I pick out aren't something like that. So, but to me, like when I was scrolling through all of your photos,
if he goes through mine, bro, he gonna find some.
That's my baby girl, man.
Yeah, it seemed like you post a lot of photos, or at least at the time, and even recently was a photo of you and her at a park. I don't know how long ago that one was in particular, but it seemed like you were pretty proud of it.
Yeah,
Dad.
That's my baby girl. She's who I live for. Have I always been the father I wanted to be? Sadly, no. But she's the reason why I live my life. You know
Are you striving to be better in that regard?
Always, every day. Every day I strive to be a better father.
Then I think sadly isn't the best terminology for yourself there, man. You got to look back on your past as a learning experience.
Well, exactly.
You know what I mean? So like you made mistakes,
yes,
but that doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. Definitely doesn't make you a sad one either.
Right.
You know, because if you know at one point you were doing worse off as a father, fuck, dude, that takes a fucking man to actually admit that shit.
Yeah, and it took me a while to admit that.
It takes a while to admit that you yourself have flaws.
It took me back to when I was homeless, man. When I reflected my life for those like 3 months or whatever. You know, I was homeless longer than that, but it took me. I literally every day, every night, I was by myself in the dark, in the cold, by myself in my car, reflecting, and everything about my past life I learned, I lived, I learned, and it made me who I am today because I know better now, you know, and I know she is the reason why I'm here. She is the reason why I live, and I will never take that away from nobody or anything. Like, hell, I have a chance right now to go to Vegas and become a rapper full time, whatever. I can't, you know, because I can't leave my baby girl.
Right.
So
certain opportunities ain't worth the price that they're willing to pay.
Never.
You know what I mean?
No opportunity in the world will ever take her away from me. So she's everything to me, bro. Like she's literally my baby girl. It sucks because I wish I was there every day, every second, every minute. But you know, life is life and things happen. So
yeah, I try not to get extremely personal with those particular things. So you keep branching down that. I'm gonna want to dive in deeper. Maybe that's more of a off podcast
Yeah, we
type
could
thing.
go-
I only picked that one because I wanted to know, like, maybe like
How I
a
was
deeper
feeling?
insight on who you are as a person. And I know usually when you can pull a heartstring like that, you might get a different side of somebody.
Yeah,
You know,
deep
which you've been pretty open this whole time. So
deep
I was like,
down,
oh
like
yeah, I got a
that's
good one right there.
she's literally my fucking everything. So
Well, this might seem a little strange, but this is also a bit of a part of it. Chop it up, man. This is cemented in history. Drop a signature on there. You're more than welcome to sign them
Oh.
too.
That's yours.
They go right back in the RubyCloud podcast file. One is for you. You're
Oh,
welcome to
shit.
snag the other one, my man. Usually I pick up an extra copy for my co-host and whatnot,
that's not your.
but I can make him a copy of the one that I have.
I was about to sign my normal name.
I mean, you sign however you like, man. Whatever your signature is, you want to use your. That one's actually a symbol I created for my own personal initials. Somebody pointed out that I should probably create one for my artist name, and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I got something.
Oh yeah. You can, sorry, I'm putting you to work a little bit. But yeah, no, I got them from everybody who's been on the podcast so far, and I got a couple of podcasts lined up. So this is Nikki's right here from the previous podcast. It was a picture on his Facebook that also happens to be his cover art for one of his songs. And then yeah, I keep the list of questions in here too in the archive, along with
I need to find a way to shorten my signature. I think I might just do a Kid J or some shit. I don't know. This is how I signed shit before, so I kind of just
yeah, come up with an artist one. So like if you're
like
signing autographs,
because
you
my
can do it quickly.
this is my normal one. Like, that's my name, my normal name.
Yeah, and it's hard to want to
like,
do that when you're an artist,
so I
because
feel
if you
like-
do that, they're gonna be like, "Who the fuck is in him?" Nobody's gonna believe that they have your
Right.
signature.
I need to like.
KD.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I appreciate
I need
you
to
chopping
figure
it
out
up. This
some-
might be the longest one I've done, man. We fucking reset that recording 3 or 4 times probably.
Yeah.
Low key, this might you might need to.
We
just-
might chop it up, but again, man, like it was so
Yeah.
authentic and everything was rolling. I don't like to.
Gonna have to come back a second time.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely got a lot to say, and I definitely want to
Yeah.
pick your guys' brains some more. You guys are good conversationalists, and that's neat. I like to end it with anything you got going on. Go ahead and look at the camera. Tell people whatever you got coming out, whatever you want them to check out, if
Shit.
they choose to check something out.
You can check me out on all platforms. Jkinney, Jkinney, not Kenny. Everybody does that. I don't know why. But I'm on all platforms. I just dropped another single. I think it was like a couple months ago. I want to say like 3. Just let them cook. Hey, that shit was on the fly.
There you go.
But hey,
So I've been working on a lot of new stuff lately. I think instead of doing single by single, because before I switched my name, I did a Death of KJ because I thought I was gonna be done with the Kid Jeffrey name. But we back, baby. And you know what? I got a lot of new shit and I got a lot of old shit that I feel like didn't get the listeners that it needed to. So I think I'm finna come out with like a 20-song album of a reincarnated, and I really need y'all to tune in
yeah.
because the old stuff that y'all probably didn't listen to, you need to listen to. And then my new stuff, I made my own beats for. I did all my own shit. Everything was done by me for at least 8 of the new songs. So like, y'all really need to tune in. I'm about to invest money into myself and go to like real studios, get real engineers. So just stay tuned because we're gonna grow up.
Stay tuned.
Um,
I got a bunch of
my
singles coming.
birthday, May 30th. Okay, I'm gonna drop either an EP or an album depending how much I have done. But I'm gonna get really deep with my childhood, my past life that y'all, unless if you were around, don't know. So stay tuned in because I got a real heartfelt EP, we're gonna call it, coming out May 30th. So just stay tuned. Kid Jeffrey, you know what it is. Misfit Mafia Entertainment.
Hell yeah. That's the motherfucking podcast.